Chapter 534 presents Qiuyue Zhao was shocked as well. His sister-in-law was really bold and full of ideas. Then, he realized that she was not an ordinary woman. She had read a lot and was very smart. She loved to think broadly and could come up with so many delicious things to cook. Tea bricks might be her specialty as well. Some people could be good at something that no one else was able to surpass. After the paper was given to Qiuyue Zhao, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian left according to the original plan. They could not be away from home for too long during this season of the year. First Madam was unwilling to see them leave, but there was no choice. She ordered the kitchen to prepare a lot of things for them to eat on the way and did not release Xiao Xian's hands for a long while. They had 5 wagons on the way back home. They didn't contain much luggage, but there were many people. Qiuyue Zhao had arranged it all, and Chu Shan led the way. However, not long after they left the gate, Ms. Mi Jr.'s servant, Annie Mao, stopped the wagon. "Please, young Master Zhao, Mrs. Zhao, our madam has a present to give to you. Hence, I am waiting for you here." Soon after, a maid came forward with a huge box. Xiao Xian did not take it, but smiled. "Thanks, Aunt. Please tell second madam that we have accepted her kindness, but we don't need the present." "That's kind of you, Mrs. Zhao." Annie Mao smiled as she led forward a girl in her teens. The girl was wearing a light pink embroidered dress with a slender waist, petite and exquisite. She had charming and beautiful facial features, especially a pair of eyes, which were particularly enticing. Auntie Mao led her forward. The girl threw a glance at Xiao Yunduan. Then she lowered her head, showing a snowy white neck and beautiful face, looking rather attractive. Xiao Xian, she understood what was going on. Xiao Xian suddenly felt uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. She threw a look at Xiao Yunduan and sneered, waiting for Annie Mao to make her speech. "Young Master Zhao." Annie Mao smiled. "This is Liyun, a present our second madam gave to young Master Zhao, so that you can study well. You need to have a smart maid next to you, right? Please accept it, young Master Zhao." Liyun put on an even more bashful posture and bowed at Xiao Yunduan. "Greetings, young master." Annie Mao smiled. "Get onto the wagon. Do remember to serve young Master Zhao. From this day on, you are young Master Zhao's girl." "Yes, Auntie." The whole scene made Xiao Yunduan, Xiao Xian, and Chu Shan turn dumbfounded. Annie Mao did not think that Xiao Yunduan would turn her down. All men liked beautiful women, especially scholars who loved to have charming girls to keep them company when they read. Liyun was young, beautiful, and lively. No man would turn her down, especially someone like Xiao Yunduan, who was from an ordinary family. He would definitely want to have someone like her next to him. Xiao Yunduan understood what was going on, but this was the first time he learned about something like this. He flushed and said, "Wait a moment. I don't need her. Please take her back, thanks." Liyun was startled, climbing midway onto the wagon. Chapter 535 For Aunt Liyun was startled, and so was Annie Mao. "What did you just say, young Master Zhao? He did not want a beautiful girl for free?" Pressing down the anger, Xiao Yunduan repeated word by word. "I just said, take her away." "What? Young master?" Liyun looked up at Xiao Yunduan innocently. "What is wrong with me?" "Everything," Xiao Yunduan answered coldly. "Chu Shan, let's leave now." With that, Xiao Yunduan put down the curtain, and his handsome face was stiff. Chu Shan, who had been panicking anxiously, got really happy seeing people from the second section of the family get humiliated. "Yes, young Master Zhao. Annie Mao, make way, please." "Young Master Zhao." Annie Mao could not hide her anger. She stopped the wagon and said with displeasure, "Second Madam Qiuyue is giving you a present out of kindness, young Master Zhao, but you are turning her down. Honestly, young Master Zhao, you are a guest to our mansion." Was he daring to humiliate the madam from the Qiuyue family? His face was stern, and without lifting the drapery, he said in a cold voice, "That has nothing to do with second Madam Qiuyue." He was not relying on Ms. Mi Jr., and he was not threatened by a servant. Honestly, the Qiuyue family needed his family's help, to be precise, his wife's help. Xiao Yunduan never felt that he was under shadow when his wife was more capable than he was. Instead, he felt really proud. Qiao Xian lifted the curtain and said, Auntie Mao, thank you for the present. We can accept the present, but I want to clarify something. This means that she will be completely at our disposal, right? Auntie Mao thought that something sounded wrong, but she did not dwell on that and added with a smile. You are right, Mrs. Zhao. This is the present to young Master Zhao, and she will be at your disposal. If you accept it, that is great. Qiao Xian smiled. Then, I'm giving her away to the first madam of your mansion, namely my aunt. Auntie Mao, kindly send her and the contract to my aunt so she can be pleased. A beautiful, nice maid will definitely make her happy. What? Auntie Mao's face changed. She was totally dumbfounded. What was this situation? Chu Shan could not hide his chuckle. He was watching the show proudly. Before the first madam, an old master came back to the mansion. This old aunt tormented the servants of the first section of the family together with second Madame Yuezhing. So, he was very glad to see her getting thrashed. Xiao Yinduan was pleased too. He said coldly, My wife is right. Auntie Mao, do remember to have her delivered to Aunt. Yeah, she's at our disposal, isn't she? Hence, it depends on us how we deal with her. Auntie Mao can't decide on our behalf, right? I don't think second Madame Yuezhing would be so stingy as to take back her gift. We will ask our aunt next time about it. Auntie Mao got so angry that her face twisted. Li Yin was so shocked. What did she do? Why was she treated like that? Chapter 536. Ignored problem, Chu Shan added with a smile. Don't worry, young Master Zhao and Mrs. Zhao. I will definitely tell First Madam about this once I get back. First Madam doesn't lack servants, but since this is a present from you, Mrs. Zhao, First Madam will surely love it. I will be glad if Aunt liked it. Thanks, Chu Shan. This is what I should do. Auntie Mao shivered from head to foot. She almost passed out due to short breath. What a bully. How could the situation become like that? Qiao Xian threw a sidelong look at her, smiling. Auntie Mao, anything more you want to tell me? If not, please move away. We're heading home now. Auntie Mao spat on the ground, seeing them leave. She snapped. What the hell? These impolite people. They have ruined second Madame Yuezhing's present. Li Yin turned really anxious. She asked in a small voice after a long while. Auntie Mao, then I will. Auntie Mao glared at her. What will you do? Serve First Madam? No. Li Yin shook her head anxiously. I don't want to. Please, save me. She had heard what First Madam was like. She would not dare to work for First Madam under such circumstances. Auntie Mao snorted. We're going back to report this to Second Madam. She has her own idea. How dare you beg me for help? You are totally useless. Xiao Yinduan would have accepted her if she had been useful. Li Yin kept her head lowered, not daring to utter a sound. She had not expected that a countryside man would turn down a beautiful girl like her to become his concubine. She did not like Xiao Yinduan, but second Madame Yuezhing said that he was rich and could become an officer in the future, thus successfully convincing her. Eventually, she was looked down upon. That made Li Yin really sad. In the wagon, Xiao Yinduan felt especially annoyed. He had not expected that Ms. Mi Jr. would be so disgusting. He threw a quick look towards Qiao Xian, thinking that he should say something. But Qiao Xian did not look very happy, and Xiao Yinduan somehow felt a little nervous, not knowing what to say. So, he could only glance at her secretly. Although Auntie Mao was driven away and the annoying Ms. Mi Jr. would get really pissed, Qiao Xian was indeed in a bad mood. She suddenly thought of a problem that she had been ignoring all this time. She was having a smooth time at her mother-in-law's home, and her mother-in-law showed her favor boldly among all of her 3 daughter-in-laws. No one even objected to that. Her elder sister-in-law and third sister-in-law all trusted her. So did Qi and Tao Tao, who admired her greatly and took her advice. Although her father-in-law wasn't that reliable, she was out of his control. Moreover, she did not care about the other sections of the Zhao family. Xiao Yinduan treated her nicely too. Although they did not say it straightforwardly, both of them should know that Xiao Xian was not going to leave the Zhao family, and they would become a real couple in the future. Why not? Xiao Yinduan was nice to her, and he defended her in front of the Qiao family. He even promised to her that he would always stay by her side, so that she would never be bullied or looked down at. Chapter 537. Unpleasantness. He had encouraged her to do business, to open a tea business, rather than restrict her by telling her that she should just obey her husband. With this as the basis, Qiuyue knew clearly that she was never going to find anyone else in this era that would treat her equally well. Also, after spending much time with him, she had gradually started to like him. She could not find anyone else like this if she left them. But she suddenly realized one thing, the issue of wife and concubine. She had been carefree and busy making food and money because she never had the concept of this problem. After all, she was not originally born in this era. But now this issue suddenly happened. In this era, rich men often had concubines, more than one. As long as he could afford them, he would have 3 or 4 concubines, or 3 or 4 maids, as well as some sweethearts outside home, as long as a man wanted it. Qiuyue turned down Ms.Yan given by Ms. Mi Jr. But what about later? Qiuyue was a smart guy. Ms. Mi Jr. was up to no good, and he was not originally from a rich family. So before he became the officer, he would not accept the girl. What about later? Many people became arrogant and conceited after they were appointed as an officer. It was a fact. People changed. They were true-hearted when the conditions were the same, but who knew whether they would still remain the same when conditions changed? Maybe Qiuyue had to accept his concubine being his wife. Else she would just be labeled unvirtuous and blamed by her mother-in-law and by those from the Zhao family, friends and relatives. She did not care about the reputation, but she did not want to deal with such accusations. She did not want to be blamed by others or let such things ruin her day. Also, what if Qiuyue himself wanted to have concubines? She could not drive them away by threatening him. If his superiors and fellows gave him beautiful girls, how could he turn them down? And how many times could he turn them down? The refusal might affect his career. Would he rather give up his career? Even if he failed to become an officer, he might still have concubines when he became rich. Qiuyue felt really distressed as she thought about this. Men, life was going to be so hard. She had thought that she was lucky enough to have a good mother-in-law and a good family, as well as a good man. But there was this hidden, huge problem in front of her. So annoying. Qiuyue looked up at Qiuyue and felt distressed. Qiuyue also sensed something weird going on with her. He felt very confused and anxious, thinking that it must be something to do with him. But he also hoped that it was not his fault. Yet the feeling was getting weirder than before. He could not help but observe Qiuyue, and then he saw Qiuyue's look of grudge. Qiuyue was startled. "What is going on, darling? What was going on?" Qiuyue snorted and suddenly felt sourness attacking her, as if she were already the wife without virtue, who was blamed by everyone in the neighborhood. She almost burst into tears. Qiuyue panicked. "What happened, darling? Please don't cry." Chapter 538. Advanced Scholar. I am not crying. You are crying. Qiuyue panicked. He said, "My fault. Definitely my fault." "Of course it's your fault. Men are not good." Qiuyue had no idea what happened, but he knew that his wife was not happy at the moment, which made him feel concerned. He thought for a while and then said gently, "Other men have nothing to do with us. Tell me what is wrong with me, please." Qiuyue was so engaged in her imagination that she blurted out immediately, "You're going to marry a concubine." Qiuyue was startled. "What? No, I am not." He denied it instantly. Qiuyue snorted. "You will in the future." Qiuyue. He was speechless. "I won't in the future, either." Qiuyue did not believe him. Qiuyue just saying nice words. When you become an officer, you will need a concubine to keep up your reputation. Or your colleagues and superiors give you one. You will need to accept them in case you offend them. Or your family will want you to have many children. The more she thought about this, the sadder she became. She believed that he had many reasons to accept concubines, but none to turn down one. Qiuyue was startled. Qiuyue's heart sank as she saw his reaction. She was so sad when she said, "Anyway, I don't care. We are." Qiuyue covered her mouth before she finished her words. Xiao Xian glared at him furiously. He was gagging her. I won't have any concubines. Xiao Yinduan sighed. I don't have any now, nor will I have any in the future. Noble and rich people had this custom, but he did not. Why did he need a concubine? He liked Xiao Xian, and he could not imagine that he would be close to anyone else. He was not used to being with anyone else, and she did not like it either. Xiao Yinduan did not think Xiao Xian's concern was wrong. Instead, he felt more worried about her. She was born a concubine's daughter, thus hoping that he would not have any concubines. Feeling pity for her, Xiao Yinduan added, "One will treat you well." Xiao Xian was dumbfounded. She just realized that she had lost her temper for no reason. She suddenly felt a little guilty and embarrassed. Was he telling the truth? Is that true? Of course. If you ever lie, Elle won't. What if Elle won't? Then we will talk about this later. Xiao Yinduan swallowed down all the promises he was about to make. She did not need big promises. She needed to see what he did to her. Xiao Yinduan told himself inwardly that he was going to behave well. He was not going to give her a chance to leave. But Xiao Yinduan was laughing bitterly. He thought that if he became the recommended man, then he could possibly finally confess his feelings towards her. Now it seemed that she could only accept him after he became the advanced scholar and assure her that he would never have a concubine. Xiao Yinduan promised to himself that he was definitely going to become an advanced scholar. Only then would he be able to have her for real by his side. Chapter 539. On the couch hearing his solemn okay, Xiao Xian felt that he was sincere. That made her feel slightly better. That would do. She had a lot of money. Most importantly, Aunt Yuezhing treated her well, and the first section of the Xiao family were not unreasonable people. If that day really came, they could separate the properties, and she could make sure the breakup went peacefully, even if it meant that she might face some losses. When this idea came in her mind, Xiao Xian finally felt slightly assured. She was not alone in this world, anyway, but she did not want this to happen. Just the thought of it was distressing enough. They arrived at Heshan County by the evening and stopped by the Zhang village first. They had told Ding Erzhu and his wife about buying a dozen laborers before, so the couple wasn't that surprised to see them. They had got all the daily necessities ready. Anything that was missing, they could go and fill them up the next day. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yinduan gave them some instructions and left the three families in Ding Erzhu and his wife's hands. They will drop by the next day. It was very late already, and they could not do everything on the same day. They were going to have a detailed discussion the next day when they were going to pick the lotus roots. The coachman of the three wagons stayed overnight at the Zhang village, whilst Chu Shan drove the couple back to their village. The two wagons did not stop until they came into the yard. The six maids were quite nervous as they got off the wagon. Ms. Fong, as well as the other family, was very surprised to see them. They had been informed about the arrival of the maids, and they were used to Lu Yan's presence. So the six maids did not startle Ms. Fong and the others too much. Soon they all calmed down. Xiao Xian led the six maids to kowtow to the whole family and passed on their names. It was very late, and they did not need to work at this moment. They were arranged to live in the back house, with three girls sharing one room. When the six maids were settled, everyone relaxed, especially Tao Dao and she, who approached Xiao Xian and smiled. Xiao Xian was also smiling happily. She had not met her family for a long time, and she could not wait to share details of the trip with them. Xiao Yunduan's lips curved. He knew that his wife loved this family and had long since developed sincere feelings towards everyone. So he was going to do his best to keep her here. It had been a long day. After dinner and a simple wash, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan returned to their room for rest. Only then did Xiao Xian notice something strange. She and Xiao Yunduan had been sharing the same bed and pillow for a long while now. Also under the same cover, that was too flirty. They did not have much space in the past, so they had to bear the limited conditions. But things were different after shifting here. They had so many spacious yards and rooms, and even a yard they were living in had wing rooms. So Xiao Xian could live in whichever room she wanted. No one would know that they were not sharing the same bed. Xiao Xian suddenly felt a little annoyed, especially after she was irritated today. Well, you can take the bedroom. I will move into the east wing room. Xiao Yunduan looked up at her. deep into her eyes, but sensed no emotions. Xiao Xian felt slightly uncomfortable. She moved her eyes away, avoiding his look. But Elle will take the couch. Xiao Yunduan threw a look at the couch placed against the wall. Chapter 540. Not saying the couch was not wide or long, barely enough for one person. It would definitely cause discomfort. But he did not want to sleep in a different bedroom from Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian's eyes widened. There is no need, it will do. Xiao Yunduan smiled. In case Mom finds out about it. Also, no matter where you sleep, it is the same, isn't it? Xiao Xian was stuck with words. True. They all knew that she and Xiao Yunduan were a married couple, and they could not spill the truth about their relation to anyone else. Even if they were divorced, she would still be considered to have been through one marriage, after all. So, there was no need to be too particular at this moment. Hence, they could just share one room in case some accident happened. Most importantly, Xiao Yunduan sounded so determined that she could not turn him down. But the couch doesn't seem very comfortable. Xiao Yunduan agreed inwardly, but he disagreed on the surface. That is fine. It is okay for me. Oh, if you don't feel comfortable, don't stick around. Take the East Wing room. Xiao Xian had no words to say any further. She had said whatever she was supposed to say, and that was all she could do. Xiao Yunduan laughed and said gently, "It is getting late. Let's settle daven." What? Okay. It was a quiet night. But when they got up the following morning, Xiao Yunduan looked very tired from sleeping on the couch. He had dark circles around the eyes and was massaging his shoulders. Xiao Xian felt a little guilty and said involuntarily, "What about you take the East Wing room? Or I can." "No need, really." Xiao Yunduan smiled brightly. "I can manage." Xiao Xian was speechless. Okay then. When they got up, the 6 maids were already up. The 6 girls were cautious and timid, at a loss. They had no idea what they should do. Seeing Ms. Fong and Yang Xiaoni working, they went up to offer some help. But they caused a mess. Ms. Fong and Yang Xiaoni felt a little helpless as well. If they were told to work, there wasn't so much for them to do anyway. And Ms. Fong did not seem to feel that stone-hearted to give them so much work, seeing that they were afraid to be driven away at the first mistake. But they were the maids, and they should work. Ms. Fong understood that maids should not be spoiled after what they had experienced with Lu Yan. Otherwise, the spoiled maids would cause the family trouble. They were different from Lu Yan. They were going to be kept at home for long. Seeing Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan walk in, Ms. Fong and her daughters-in-law let out a big relief. "Oh, Ms. Qiao, what should these 6 girls do? Please make some arrangements." As long as they were not lingering in front of her, or they would just cause trouble. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan exchanged an amused look. Xiao Xian smiled. "It is my fault. Sorry for having caused you trouble. All you girls, come here." The 6 maids also let out a sigh of relief, as if they had found the decision-maker. They answered and came to them. Xiao Xian glanced at them and felt very satisfied. With First Madam around, the agent offered her exactly what she needed for the family. These 6 girls were all very reliable. Chapter 541. Fear and respect. The agent had recommended 10 people, and she picked 6 out of them. All of them seemed like the right choice at that time. Actually, it did not matter if they were wrong choices, either. If they found that any of the maids were like how Lu Yan was in her initial stage, when she did not do any housework, Xiao Xian would still not worry too much. She could just sell them and find better ones. Xiao Xian had already told them what they should do. She did not need to give them any lecture. She only summoned Tao and Qi, who came to her side. "Your 5th brother will be heading into town today with me, and we will buy some mutton. Let's eat mutton kebabs tonight. How does that sound?" Tao and Qi's eyes started sparkling. They nodded constantly. "Yeah, okay. There is not much chili powder and pepper powder at home. We will grind some more today. By the way, grind some dried ginger powder, cumin, and cloves, too." Xiao Xian smiled and said, "You lead Qiuyue and Chuanfin to the bamboo forest to cut bamboo, and let them chop them into kebab sticks after cutting the bamboo. Each of them will cut 20 pieces. You take them there, tell them how to cut it, and let them do the rest." Qi and Tao were a little confused. They were fast, and they could do everything flexibly. But since the fifth sister-in-law said so, then she might have a reason for it. So they nodded. Then Qiuyue said to the 6 maids, "Heard that? Each person cuts 20 pieces and holds the cut ones in hands. Don't confuse them with others. I will check them when I come back." The 6 maids nodded. Qiuyue added, "Our family doesn't have much housework, and my mother and sister-in-law do the work by themselves on weekdays. As for you, you just need to help. In this way, 6 of you will work in 3 shifts, 2 in 1 shift, and 1 shift a day to help with the work. Those who are not on duty can go back to the house to rest or do needlework. If there is something to do, whoever is called will go." The 6 maids nodded again. It seemed like a proper arrangement. The 6 maids felt assured and did not think that it would be messy as before. They were not the type who wanted to serve masters or madams in high-ranking families so that they could become excellent maids in the future. After Qiuyue bought them, they could tell what their new mistress and master were like after living in the province as well as experiencing the trip on the way home. They felt lucky that they had a great mistress who was neither stingy nor strict, nor throwing temper at her will, and who offered them much food and clothes generously. Most importantly, though they did not dare to peep at the encounter between Annie Mao and Xiao, as well as Xiao Yunduan, they heard everything clearly. Their mistress and master were nice and treated them well, but they were definitely not weak. So, the maids respected and admired them, and they would not cause any trouble. Even though they might have had some strange idea before, the idea was long gone. Qi and Tao led Qiuyue and the maids to chop bamboo. After that, they were offered breakfast before going to chop them further into pieces. The brother and sister were drooling for the oily and tasty mutton kebabs. With 6 more maids at home, the breakfast portion needed to increase. Qiuyue said to Ms. Fong with a smile, "Mom, if you make steamed buns, porridge, and noodles at home, let them eat it. For daily cooking, let them cook 2 dishes and 1 soup. Fry 2 dishes, but let the quantity be more than usual, and serve them in another bowl." Chapter 542. Lotus Roots. Then she told her about the work in shifts and the housework that the maids should do, as well as what others should do in the meanwhile, etc. Rules needed to be set in the beginning, and people would be customized to it naturally. Although Qiuyue did not care about rules, they needed to be set so as not to cause chaos. Ms. Fong smiled. "Okay, that sounds like a good arrangement. It saves us a lot of trouble. You do not know how messy it was in the morning when those 6 girls were surrounding me, wanting to get the work done." Yang Xiaoni was quite frightened too. "Yeah, I'm not used to that." Qiuyue smiled. "Mom, you can tell them what needs to be done. Same goes for you, 3rd sister-in-law. Honestly, there will be more people around us in the future." The breakfast served on this day was white rice porridge, steamed buns and flour rolls, as well as kimchi and chopped bamboo shoots, sauerkraut, bacon and chili, and fried garlic. The white porridge was fragrant and thick. The porridge rice grains were distinct and full, and the taste was smooth. The steamed buns were white and fluffy. The flour rolls were smeared with scallion foam, and the aroma was tangy. The kimchi was mouth-watering and attractive. The diced bamboo shoots, bacon, and sauerkraut are stir-fried, and they were spicy and fresh to the extreme, making everything look delicious. The breakfast was simple and full of taste as well. Qiuyue converted an empty wing room in the backyard into a dining room for servants to eat, and set up the square table and stools. Qiuyue and the others would eat there in the future. They might not be used to cutting bamboos, so they did not wait for them to eat breakfast. They ate first, and then Qiuyue and Xiao Yunduan went to the Zhang village. The couple was in a donkey cart. As for Shan, he left early in the morning. He needed to join people from the Zhang village and head back to the province. It could not be delayed. Qiuyue and Xiao Yunduan came to the Zhang village and called some people from 3 families and let them plant the lotus roots in the pond. The pond was dug years ago, but it only started storing water last month. All the trees that should be planted by the pond had already been planted. There were 2 weeping willows for peach trees, 1 pomegranate tree, 1 loquat tree, 1 elm tree, 1 locust tree, and 2 mulberry trees. Planting lotus roots was a rare thing, so many people were attracted to come and watch the scene together. Lotus roots? That doesn't look very good. So what? I heard they taste good. I have seen the flowers before. They are beautiful. Can they be planted here? Planted in the pond? Yeah, didn't hear that before. Qiuyue and Qiuyue ignored these gossips. They watched Qiuyue and Qiuyue planting lotus roots by the pond, but what Qiuyue saw were tender, green, pearl-like lotus seeds in autumn. They could be stewed in soup, cold-dressed, stir-fried, ground into powder, and steamed for eating. They could also be used as sweet-scented osmanthus lotus root, or lotus root powder. That would be such a great thing. She never worried about whether they would survive. When the lotus roots were planted, water chestnuts would be available for planting as well. Water chestnuts could not be planted in the pond. They needed to be planted elsewhere. The seedling could be done first, then transplanted. Qiuyue entrusted Ding Erju and Ms. Zhao to deal with this matter. With lotus roots in the pond and the water chestnuts on the way, fish and shrimps would come next. They had to fetch the small fish and shrimps themselves. They thought about getting Qi and the others to get some fish and shrimps from the river after they reached home. Chapter 543. Plan. The fish could not be fetched with a net because the fish carried in the net were mostly on the verge of dying, thus not being able to live on. If they passed away in the pond, pollution might be generated. So, they had to use the scoop net. But there were many kinds of fish in this era, and the fish and shrimps were for themselves to eat, not to be sold. So they did not need to worry about it. The fish and shrimps, when raised in the pond, might reproduce many more after a couple of days. Qiuyue believed that she would need to pick the good ones to be raised in the pond. When the planting of lotus roots was done, Qiuyue and Qiuyue, together with Ding Erju, took the 3 families to have a look around their home. The transplanted tea trees were growing well and had started to bud as well. The creeping figs were looking good too. By the time summer came, there was going to be a large patch of green. The creeping figs grew the fastest. With Qiuyue's superpower helping along the way, the speed was raised by 3 or 4 times. Qiuyue visited the tea trees in the morning at their home as well. She used some superpower when they first budded, so they were flourishing and had grown tall to more than 1 foot. Qiuyue planned to wait for 1 more rain so that she could do the transplantation. After Qiuyue and Qiuyue checked the tea forest and the creeping figs, they returned to the yard and told Qiuyue and the others about what they ought to do. The paddy fields did not need to be managed by them and were planted by the tenants. They were responsible for taking care of the tea groves and scallops, including scheduling inspections every day and reporting problems in time. They were also responsible for weeding, pruning, and fertilizing. They all had some half-grown children, so they bought 6 bulls for them to manage. The 6 bulls were bought for the tenants' convenience. Moreover, bull dung was also used to fertilize rice fields. It was not good if they had none. The fields would turn too useless as years went by without the bulls. The tenants did not use them for free. They would rent them at a low price. A bull was calculated on the basis of 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon, and the rent was only 3 won per day. The cost was so low that it made tenants almost mental. Everyone was very willing to rent it. When all the trivialities were done, it was already lunchtime. Ms. Zhao and her mother made lunch for Qiuyue and Qiuyue, who were very well received. It is a casual lunch, please, but the food is very clean. When the construction of the house was built, Qiuyue had noticed that she was a very nice, friendly, and warm, more social than Ms. Zhao. So, she hired her too by paying her 1 liang a month. In this way, she could be of some help as well. She was not restricted by too much work and could go home if she wanted to. Madame Zhao was very happy to accept the position. So, she moved in with her grandchildren. She could plant her own vegetables, raise chicken and ducks. All she needed to do was bring some grains. 1 liang a month was a lot for her. Only fools would turn down the offer. Qiuyue and Qiuyue were not picky people. So, they accepted the offer and ate lunch. There was 1 plate of scrambled eggs with chives, 1 plate of steamed sausage, and 1 plate of fried smoked meat with garlic sprouts. Simple and clean, the ingredients were good and the taste was not bad. The couple ate lunch and hurried into the town to buy meat. They had smoked meat, sausage, fish, and duck, pickles, salted, and preserved eggs at home. All they needed was fresh meat. Qiuyue was greedy for mutton kebabs. So was everyone else. They decided to have a huge dinner that night. They bought 10 kilograms of mutton with both fat and normal meat, 2 sheep's feet for pig's feet, a rib, and a piece of pork belly. The pork belly would be made into twice-cooked pork and braised pork the next day, and the rest would be marinated tonight itself. Chapter 544. Encounter with Agent. They bought fresh meat and decided to head home. There was nothing more they needed for the moment. Soon, they ran into the land agent coincidentally. The land agent's eyes widened when he saw the couple. He waved at them and smiled. Young Master Zhao and Mrs. Zhao, what a coincidence. I was just thinking of you. I've got 70 mu of paddy field at the Zhang village. Do you want it? If you do, please decide now, or I will turn to someone else. Qiuyue exchanged a look with Qiuyue. They both nodded. Yes. 70 mu, or even more. We want it all. Continuous good fields were not very easy to buy, especially in the well-developed towns and villages. Well, if one really wanted to buy some, they would need to pay a lot for that. It was a possibility, but not a very practical solution. Qiuyue believed that it was indeed very lucky for this land to be offered at this moment. What a wonderful thing. Qiuyue thought for a while and smiled. The paddy fields should be all right, no? We have done a lot of business together before. The land agent smiled. Don't worry. I want Dare to sell any fields with problems. I need my reputation, don't I? I will never do anything to ruin my own name. That was true. They passed on the business over generations and needed to have a good, steady reputation over a long period of time. If they did anything that ruined their reputation and got reported, the county magistrate had the right to rip them off the position and replace them with someone else. Anyone with a clever mind or in a good position would never do such a thing to ruin their well-established business. Assured, Qiuyue added, but I don't have much money with me today. The land agent smiled. All right, how much do you have? The couple exchanged a look between themselves and pulled out the cash. This much. Qiuyue touched his nose. I have nothing. He just had 1 liang with him, which was basically the same as nothing. The land agent smiled. Then you can give me 200 liang and write an IOU. You can give the remaining silver to me tomorrow. Okay? The couple nodded. Soon, they were taken to have a look at the field and sign the contract after the visit. Qiuyue smiled. We have 310 mu of paddy fields. We are almost like a landlord family now. Qiuyue nodded in agreement. It was almost 4 in the afternoon when they went back home. Qiuyue took a short break and went to prepare for the dinner. Qiuyue was in charge of cooking, with a lot of people helping along the way. So, everything was ready very quickly. Zhao Sanlang burned the fire to wash the meat, put it in a pot with marinade, and stewed it. Yang Xiaoni chopped the mutton finely. Ms. Z's stomach was not too big, so she went to the vegetable garden to pick some vegetables. They were going to eat grilled meat with some vegetables to avoid it from getting too oily. Qiuyue thought about it and made 1 bowl of fishball soup. There were fresh, large grass carp in the pool, 2 of which weighed 4 kilograms and 4 to 5 kilograms respectively. The fish bones were stewed in soup. The fish heads were made with pickled sour peppers. The round snow-white fish balls were boiled in a clear water pot, sprinkled with green onion and coriander. It turned out to be delicious. They were going to eat grilled meat, drink a bowl of fish ball soup each, and eat some fish balls. Everything was made out of fresh ingredients. She went to catch and kill fish, removed the bones, and took the meat. Qiuyue checked the bamboo sticks which the maids had made. She understood what she should do next. She needed some careful people to help her with lipsticks. Not every maid was like that. She needed to pick the best one, and that's why this task had been given to them this morning. Chapter 545. Time to make lipsticks. She had a clear preference of whom to pick. She was going to make the leader manage the rest. When the bamboo sticks were done, Qiuyue asked Qiuyue, Chunfen, who were on duty, to join herself and Taodao to plant betel nut taro and spring watermelons. She gave the seeds to her mother-in-law so that she knew when to plant them. She kept 1 betel nut taro and sliced them into pieces so they could be deep-fried and steamed later, which went perfect with braised pork belly. She kept 2 spring watermelons, which could be used for cold dishes at dinner. Qiuyue cut the mutton and made the seasonings, which were better than those done by others. They had the meat marinated for 2 more quarters and had them all put onto the sticks. Generally, there was a small piece of fat sandwiched between 2 pieces of lean meat, which was suet. Roasted lamb could not be all lean. It had to be sandwiched with small pieces of lamb fat. The lamb fat was roasted so that the oil was browned, sprinkled with pepper, salt, and pepper noodles, and when it was bitten together with the lamb and the lean meat, the freshness and the tenderness of the sheep oil melted in the mouth. It was so delicious that people could not extricate themselves from the enjoyment. Along with the mutton, other vegetables and mushrooms were also skewered. The fish balls that Qiuyue had squeezed fell into the water one by one. They could just boil them whenever they felt like eating some. When the sun was setting down, they set up the grill shelf, and Qiuyue asked Tryout to invite Ms.Yan over so they could all eat together. Ms.Yan often ate at the first section of the family, and Ms. Neo did not care anymore. She wished that she could eat often at the first section of the family, so the food at home could be spared. On Ms. Yan's visit there, she kept Ms. Su company and taught Tryout to do needlework. She always had the excuse to come over, so she was never there for food specifically. Ms. Zhang felt so jealous of her, but there was nothing she could do. She was not the one who was welcome there. The maids were not with them for the kebab, but they were served enough food. Ms. Fong, eldest uncle, Xiao Samlang, and Xiao Dalong, as well as Ms. Su, all needed to eat something else. Grilled meat was not enough. There was a bowl of stewed pork ribs, fish head with chopped pepper, fish ball soup with coriander and green onion, fried yam and fungus, vinegar cabbage. The maids had 1 large rib bone and 2 fish balls, vinegar cabbage, as well as yams and wooden ears. They were so shocked when they got the food. The well-cooked and delicious stewed ribs and the fresh and tender fish balls gave them endless aftertaste. They had not expected that they would be provided such good food in the countryside. The grilled mutton was tasty and tender, fresh too. The mushrooms and vegetables had amazing taste. The fishball soup removed the oiliness from their mouths. The apricot blossoms in the flower field were blooming just in time, and the peach blossoms were also almost ready to open. The trees were full of dense buds. It was time for them to make lipsticks. There were not many peach and apricot blossoms, and the beeswax left was not enough from last year. So they would only manage to make at most 200 to 300 lipsticks, including the limited version. That was enough for the maids to learn. Qiuyue did not go into the city to pay the rest of the money to the land agent. She discussed it with Zhao Yunduan, and they gave the money to Qi, so he could go into the town to do the needful. Qi was very happy to be entrusted with such an important mission. He carefully folded the note into his arms and promised in a serious tone that the money would be given to the land agent safe and sound. Qiuyue showed a lot of confidence in him, which made him happy. She was not young anymore. This was just delivery of money, not such a difficult task to accomplish. Chapter 546. Watch out if the notes were stolen or dropped. It was fine too. They had more money to offer. Zhao Yunduan was studying at home. He had 2 articles to write, and in 3 days. He was going to visit Master Yan. Qiuyue and Tryout, as well as Yang Xiaoni, went into the flower field with the 6 maids. They were going to extract some oil. They had been relaxed during the whole winter and were only working on cooking different dishes. So when it was time to work, Tryout and Yang Xiaoni felt somehow expectant and excited. They loved delicious food, but they loved making lipsticks to earn some money. They felt so eager to earn the money. So did Ms. Su. She could not help but mention it to Qiuyue. It is just flower picking and grinding. These are just light tasks. We are not some spoiled town women. When I was pregnant with my first 2 children, I was still doing housework when I was almost about to give birth to them. 31 a day was the salary from the generous Qiuyue, who would also offer them a bonus after the sale. In this way, they could earn 10 or 20 liang altogether. Now her husband was recovering from the wound, and he could not do heavy work. She was free, but there was no income coming to their family. So she was very anxious. In Qiuyue's opinion, pregnant women needed to be taken care of very well. They had money and labors at home, and all Miss Su needed to do was sweep the flowers, feed the roosters, and wash her own family's clothes. She did not need to do any other tasks. That was what Miss Fong told her too. After all, their daily life had been improved. So, Qiuyue could not possibly allow her to work in the flower field. What if? What if she fell or something happened? That would be a huge deal. Qiuyue also knew that Nis. So wanted to earn money. So, she did not turn her down entirely, but smiled after thinking for a while. Elder sister-in-law, I have got the maids. Now, what we need to do is to make sure that they work accordingly. We don't need to do the labor personally. After you have the child and finish the first month, there is a lot of work for you to do. If you are bored, could you please make some shoes for me? Shoemaking was a relatively easier and safer job. What Miss Su was worried about, above all, that Qiuyue would replace her with someone else. So when she heard this promise, she smiled and nodded with a smile. That is good. Fifth sister-in-law, you can ask me for any kind of help in the future. I have very little work to do, so I will make you the shoes when I am free. Qiuyue smiled. Thanks, elder sister-in-law. Miss Su started to work on the shoes, without thinking about anything else. Qiuyue was a very generous person. She would not let her do the work for free. What she needed to do was to make the shoes. When Miss Su was settled, Qiuyue and Tryout headed to the flower field with the maids. Before they walked into the field, Qiuyue warned the 6 maids not to mention anything about what they saw on the flower field to anyone. They were not even allowed to speak of it while casually chit-chatting with anyone, or they would be fined half a month's salary. Worse, they could even be fired if they spilled anything. The maids got very nervous. They put on a serious look and nodded constantly. When they went in the flower field, they were all shocked. What caught the eye most was the rows of shrubs as high as half a person, with a wooden frame for climbing and standing in the middle, and bushes with buds on both sides of the wooden frame. Chapter 547. Apart from these, there were also rhizomes of unknown plants that were less than a foot high and took up a large area in the field. There were trees in the distance. Some had grown leaves, some had yet to sprout. There was also a patch of faint crimson, which should be sporadic peach blossoms and flower buds that could not be opened. The patch of pink color was apricot flowers. The maids were shocked. What? Mrs. Zhao told them not to reveal anything about this. Qiuyue did not care what they were thinking. She led them into the middle of the land, where there were rooms on the left and right with the front and back being transparent. When they took out the key to open the door, Tryout and Yang Xiaoni cheered up. They went to fetch the baskets proficiently. The 2 of them had ventilated and cleaned the room yesterday. As long as there are raw materials, Qiuyue could start making lipstick immediately. The 2 of them waved at Qiuyue and went to pick flowers with the maids. Qiuyue was walking around, checking the flowers. She poured her superpower into the flowers so they could grow better and blossom more in a wilder color. There were many deserted lands in the neighboring area. With 6 more people added to the labor, they could expand the harvested land and plant more flowers. All of these would be under her charge. Qiuyue felt very pleased. Working with flowers, surrounded by them, was indeed a very pleasant experience. In addition to the main colors of Chinese roses and ordinary roses, there could be more like peach, apricot, and plum flowers. Other types could also be added, such as cannas, Chinese trumpet vine, safflowers, chrysanthemums, and so on. By mixing various colors in different proportions, they could get richer colors and produce lipsticks in more shades. Apart from flowers, they could also try extracting colors from other objects that were not toxic, which could be applied to the lips. Her space had a lot of area, but they could definitely be stored. Maybe she could even have reclaimed land for planting. That would make everything much easier. Tryout and Yang Xiaoni told the maids to be careful when picking the flowers so that the petals would not be destroyed and the flowers could be maintained in the original way. They would pick the flowers in full blossom and half blossoms, so the 2 flowers would not be mixed up. They needed to work fast because the flowers had to be cleaned and the petals should be carefully handled. That was a painstaking task. The peach blossoms and apricot blossoms were not as big as roses. The petals were thick and easy to remove. This was the first time for Tryout and Yang Xiaoni to deal with such small flowers. But the peach blossoms were delicate and the apricot blossoms were enchanting. They were both very beautiful colors. They must look good when made into lipsticks. The women really looked forward to the result. The maids nodded and started to pick the flowers. Li Xia could not help but approach Tao Tao, asking curiously, "Miss, what are we picking these flowers for? Can you tell us about it? We can be more assured if we know what they're going to be used for." Since Mrs. Xiao took them into the flower field, she had not planned to conceal the secret from them. That was why Li Xia dared to ask. Upon hearing the question, everyone pricked up their ears. They stopped whatever they were doing and looked at her. They would know about it sooner or later. Hence, there was no need to conceal it from them. Tao Tao smiled. "These flowers are very precious. They are used to make lipsticks." Chapter 548. Gasp. So, you have to be very careful when picking the flowers. The colors would fade if the petals get crushed. Lipsticks. Lixia's eyes widened. She got so astonished that she had no idea what was going on for a moment. The others were shocked too. They were trained at the agency before they were sold, so that they could be sold at a good price. They had heard about the lipsticks, and when the agent talked about this, she spoke highly of them. They still remembered the admiration of the agent. That was something the noble ladies in the province loved. It was said that only young Master Qiuyue had them in his store and that it was sold nowhere else. The reputation of lipsticks had spread beyond the province. No one knew where young Master Qiuyue got the lipsticks from. So, they were from this field of flowers in this small village? Everyone felt that they were delusional. Lipsticks the ones sold in the province. Lixia's eyes were about to pop out. She still could not believe what she had heard. Dazed. But the lipsticks could not be the ones sold in the province. Tao Tao was even more surprised when she heard the question. Anyone else is selling something called lipsticks? Li Xia. That was true. They all gasped. They ended up being in an amazing mistress home. She was the one who was making the lipsticks. She was going to make a huge fortune. Aloes, young Master Zhao, was the cultivated talent, and he was going to participate in the imperial examination in autumn. Maybe he was going to become really promising in the official government. "Miss, we will definitely be careful about the flowers." Li Xiao made a promise in a serious tone. "We will never mention anything about it after we step out of the flower field." The other maids brought themselves back and made the promise too. "Me too. I promise to be careful." Tao Tao blinked her eyes and exchanged a confused look with Yang Xiaoni, not knowing what to say. "Just pick the flowers." "Okay, miss." The maids were so motivated that they held their breath as if they were about to do something really important. More than an hour later, they had 3 baskets of apricots and 1.5 baskets of peach flowers. They all went to Qiuyue when they were summoned. They picked off the petals, removed the stamens, then washed and drained the water slightly. Then, they put them into a small hand mill made of white jade. One person put the petals in and the other turned the millstone. They had 4 mills, enough for them to work at the same time, which made the process faster. The red flower pulp slowly flowed out, gathered into a thin stream, and flowed into the next bowl with a big belly and a narrow mouth. The bowl was covered with a double layer of muslin gauze sewn into a small pocket. The flower pulp flowed into the small pocket. After grinding, the small pocket was twisted lightly, and the flower juice seeped out. After filtering twice, the clear flower juice could be obtained. Next, it was Qiuyue, Tao Tao, and Yang Xiaoni who would finish the remaining task in the room. Yang Xiaoni wasn't that adept. She was just helping Qiuyue and Tao Tao. After the mold was done, they needed to be left there. There would be 46 pieces made out of this. When a mold was removed, they would continue with the rest. The process would take more than 2 hours, after which they could return home for lunch. Chapter 549. Stupid enough after lunch, they could make one more batch in the afternoon. The molding tools had increased in number, but there were not many flowers. 2 batches should be enough in one day. When Chinese roses and roses, as well as pomegranate flowers were in full bloom, they were going to make 4 batches a day, starting from early in the morning. That would not be too difficult when they had many people working together. The maids were still quite confused how those flowers turned into lipsticks when they left with Qiuyue. But no one was stupid enough to ask this question. That was the secret only the mistress knew about. She returned in the afternoon and brought back the IOU note, which was given to Qiuyue and Zhao. They had 2 batches of lipsticks finished by the end of the day. The day after, they would be able to get some more flowers. The next day, Qiuyue, Tao, Qi, together with Qiuyue and Xiaji, went to the river to fetch some fish and shrimps. Zhao did not join them. He needed to visit Master Yun every single day. Master Yun had been fed up with living here. So 1 week later, he was going to start his trip down south. Hence, Zhao had very little time left to be instructed by him. Zhao felt his heart emptied. He felt quite sad when telling Qiuyue about this, who consoled him. But Zhao also understood that Master Yun did not belong to this place. He was a very knowledgeable person, and Zhao did not even know where he was from till now. What he needed to know was that Master Yun had discovered him and educated him. He was not going to stop him from traveling down south. He was just a junior who had been taught for a small period, and he was not his official disciple, thus not having the rights to intervene in his decision. All Zhao could do was to ask Master Yun what he wanted to know and what he needed him to prepare for him. Money or other things would do. Master Yun did not lack money, so he did not ask for that. But he was very interested in the small snacks from the Zhao family. So he made a long list, which included smoked meat, sausage, duck, fish, salted eggs, preserved eggs, chili sauce, diced bamboo shoots and mushroom sauce, dried plums, dried bamboo shoots, jelly seeds, and so on. Zhao accepted the request readily and asked Qiuyue for help with the preparation. Qiuyue believed that Master Yun was like a saint in heaven, just as Zhao had put it. Qiuyue trusted Zhao, and she could not help but develop some sense of admiration towards the old man. She nodded in agreement and expressed that she was definitely going to make proper preparation. He had done Zhao a big favor, and it was a favor to her too. He was her savior as well. So, Zhao was barely at home in the past few days. Qiuyue did not need to make much effort to get those things in the list ready. So, they went to fetch the fish and shrimp during the daytime. Yang Xiaoni and Xiao Sanlang, together with the other maid, went into the vegetable field to plant another kind of vegetable. Soon, the corn, taros, and soybeans should be planted down as well. The fish and shrimp scooped out of the river needed to be kept in the pond, so 3 buckets of medium size were taken along to carry the things. There were many river shrimps there, and 1 casual scoop would lead to fetching abundant water creatures. There were loaches, small fish, and crabs. The crabs were thrown back into the river. She knew that there were a lot of snails in the river. She managed to pick up 2 buckets and put them in to raise them. They could be eaten and even fed to the fish. Chapter 550. Fish catching. Qiuyue and Xiaji were a little nervous at the beginning, but gradually they relaxed and started helping out happily. Qiuyue could see fish and shrimps swimming between the watergrass, some of which were really big. But she was not that skilled, so she asked Qi to help. She gave him 7 out of 10 correct directions. Before lunchtime, they already had 3 buckets filled with shrimps and all kinds of fish, most of which were wild crucian carps. They rented the bull cart and headed towards the Zhang village together. They poured the 3 buckets of fish as well as water grass inside the pond. Interrogation was very good at fixing the fish pond. He had cut a lot of thick pine branches from the mountain, sunk them into the pond, and piled them up together, which could shade the fish and provide them a hiding place. On the surface of the water, bamboo poles were used to form a square frame of medium size, and pillars were inserted into the bottom of the pond to fix the square frame. The fish would be fed in the 4-square frame in the future. Qiuyue did not intend to raise the fish for sale and didn't provide them any feed. The tender grass, aquatic plants, and vegetable leaves, which are needed to feed them every 5th or 6th day, were going to be available. With the basket framed, the vegetable leaves and grass leaves would not float around. Some terrier fish did not eat the rest, and they could be easily salvaged in one place. 3 buckets of fish were still too few. There was a river close to the Zhang village, so they all headed there, seeing it was still early in the day. They wanted to try their luck to see what more they could get. Interrogation smiled as he asked Qiuyue, "Landlady, do you need eels, loaches, and mussels?" Qiao Xian's eyes were sparkling as she nodded. Yes, all of them. Those were wonderful and delicious things. Ding, Zhao smiled. Great, I will fetch them for you. In the ditch beside the rice field, there were a lot of eels and loaches. There were also mussels in there. When they went down to the pond, they could step on them with their feet. Qiao Xian smiled and thanked him. This is great. Uncle Zhao, fetch more when you have time. In this way, they made lipsticks one day and caught fish the next day. The process lasted for 5 or 6 days, and the pond was almost done. The fish were also enough. Those were for them to store. They could just scoop the fish whenever they needed. The good ones could be kept in the pond for later use. The apricot flowers were blooming, and they could be picked after 5 or 6 days. Later, the peach flowers would be in bloom for 11 or 12 days. It was getting very warm, and the grass was thriving, and so were the flowers. The bees started to get really busy again after a silent winter. Bees could be seen on almost every flower. When they stood under the tree, they could hear the buzzing sound. Qiao Xian was thinking about getting more bee boxes to raise more bees and fetch the wax. The paddy field was watered, and soon it was time for them to have a spring plow. At this time, spring bamboos, mushrooms, and all kinds of vegetables were growing, which was very appealing for everyone around. The fresh and tender spring bamboo shoots were extremely sweet, whether they were fried with meat or fried or used as stuffing for dumplings. It would all turn out to be delicious. All kinds of mushrooms were picked, including the tenderest ones that had just emerged from the soil, and they had a fresh mountain flavor. They could be stir-fried with the meat and served on a plate, and the aroma would waft all over the kitchen after a short time. Chapter 551. Grudge Chinese tune sprouts, water celery, wild onions, wild leeks, shepherd's purse, dandelion seedlings, iris lactea, bracken, and more could be found with some effort. They could be brought home, blanched as cold salad, or used to make steamed vegetables, and even mixed with minced meat to make fresh stuffing. Especially Chinese tune sprouts and bracken, which are the most appealing. It was just a short window of time for them to get to eat those things. Chinese tune sprouts with eggs, Chinese tune sprouts mixed with tofu, Chinese tune sprouts with fried bacon, fried Chinese tune sprouts wrapped in egg batter, Chinese tune sprouts omelet, and even pickled Chinese tune sprouts could be delicious. The plants could also be ground to make Chinese tune sprout sauce during this time. Brackens could be fried with smoked meat and bamboo slices. Apart from those wild vegetables, the small cabbage, small rapeseed, choy sum, and so on in the field had also grown, and they were very fresh. There would be a lot of delicious food to eat in spring for the family. Qiao Xian and Qi, as well as Tao Tao, often visited the mountains and brought lots of food home. Bamboos and mushrooms were the best example. There were so many of them that they could be sun-dried as well for later use. There were also a lot of roosters, rabbits, and roe deer hunted. Compared with preserved meat, fresh meat had a better taste. Qi even hunted one wild deer, weighing 50 kilograms, which cheered up the whole family. They stored meat for 3 or 4 days and only gave out a few to others, since the members at home had increased in number. The deer meat was still fresh the next day after it was hunted. Qiao Xian did another round of grilling with it. She marinated the meat for grilling, which gave it a very special taste. Then, they also made some dried venison. After it was finished, it weighed about 2 kilograms, so they kept it for themselves and ate it little by little. While they were enjoying the delicious dishes of spring, Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan did not expect that they had formed a grudge with someone accidentally. 3 days after Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan bought the land from the agent, the housekeeper from Zhao Guanghua's home ran into the agent, and after some small talk, he asked, "Oh, the 70 mu of the Zhang village? Sold already." The land agent smiled, sounding pitiful. Old Master Zhao did not need it, and businessman, he needed to sell the land as fast as possible, so someone bought it without saying much about the price. The housekeeper looked embarrassed. He forced a smile. "Oh, really? That is a shame." The land agent smiled. "Well, this is how it is. The seller needed it to be sold as soon as possible, so I had to hurry up, otherwise I would ruin my reputation." Housekeeper got so annoyed, but he still forced a smile. "True. To whom did you sell the land to?" The housekeeper was very curious and distressed. This patch of land was close to the land of old Master Zhao's. If he had bought the entire land, it would have made it easier for him to control the land together. In this way, the land could be enhanced to a middle-class size. But when he heard about the seller's urgency, he thought about getting some bargain. Also, old Master Zhao gave some presents to several friends who might have been interested and able to afford the land, telling them to spare the land for him. After getting favors from old Master Zhao, those people agreed, since they did not need the land so urgently. Old Master Zhao was very proud and confident that he would be able to get the land, so he kept bargaining and did not want to retreat. Chapter 552. Not selling eventually, the seller told the land agent that he will not sell the land to the Zhao family, no matter what. The Zhao family was arrogant, and they were the county magistrate's good friends, but so what? He was leaving the country soon, and he would be out of their control. The land agent was very angry about the Zhao family behavior as well. The good field was worth 8 liang per mu, but old Master Zhao tried to take it to 5 liang for 1 mu. That was blatant robbery. The land agent had wanted to ask Qiuyue and Qiuyue about it, and they ran into each other accidentally on the same day. That's how the land became theirs. Since the Zhao family was playing a trick, then the land was not going to be sold to them. The land agent did not have any specific intentions towards Qiuyue and Qiuyue. Those who could offer the proper price would become the owner. So, he was being totally reasonable. He had no idea what old Master Zhao had done behind his back. So, when the housekeeper asked him about that, he answered him calmly, without trying to humiliate the Zhao family. The land agent would have told the housekeeper who bought the land if the buyers had not been Qiuyue and Qiuyue. But the couple had repeatedly stressed that the agent should keep the secret for them, and even entrusted him to sign the contract. So, the land agent did not answer his question. The agent said something vague, and the housekeeper asked no more. The two of them waved each other goodbye. The housekeeper had a stinky face as he headed back to the mansion with the news. Old Master Zhao turned furious. He struck the table and cursed. Who in the hell bought my land? Look into the matter and tell me who dared to steal my business. He said sinisterly. I'm going to make him pay. He had been so confident and done a lot of work just to make sure he could get the land. But now, it turned out to be totally opposite from what he had expected. He had thought that the land agent would get anxious and try to sell him the land after being ignored for 3 days, so that he could be easily persuaded. But someone else cut in. Old Master Zhao was very wealthy and always had a very smooth career. So, he became really arrogant after making so much money. Moreover, the land agent did not want to reveal the buyer, so he was sure that this buyer knew about his intention of buying the land, thus humiliating him by cutting in. He was going to find him. He was not stupid. He was very smart. Qiuyue and Qiuyue had always kept the secret about them buying land at the Zhang village. But if someone wanted to look into this matter carefully, they would more or less be able to find out the answer. Ding Erzhu and his team would not say a thing, and those from the Zhang village would not think deeply if a story was woven and told to them. Housekeeper did not delay and sent out his men to look into this matter on the same day. After a few days, they finally found the accurate news. The housekeeper learned about it on the day when Qiuyue accompanied Master Yun and his servants leaving the county. He told everything to his old Master Zhao. Old Master Zhao sneered. Shouting village? Those poor people who make a small fortune. I think they should die. How dare they steal the land from me? A cultivated talent? Who does he think he is? Old Master Zhao showed a look of greed. You said that they have more than 200 mu of good fields and 1 tea mountain of over 500 mu. Chapter 553. Ding Qiuyue, that's true. Old Master, I heard everything. That family has made some fortune recently and bought so many things behind people's backs. They are keeping a secret. Bah! Old Master Zhao sneered. Soon those places would be mine. If they know what position they are in, they would definitely give those things to me on their own so that they can save themselves some trouble. Otherwise, they will regret it for the rest of their life. Housekeeper flattered him. You are right. How dare they steal your stuff? Old Master Zhao. It is only right that they pay it back to you. Honestly, When the housekeeper learned about the large amount of properties that belonged to Qiuyue and Qiuyue, he was shocked. He also felt really jealous. He had always looked down at poor farmers. But now, there was a farmer's family who made a fortune and bought so many properties. He felt that he had been put into the shade. He was really envious and angry. He looked forward to seeing bad luck happening to them. He just did not like it. So many fields and tea mountains. His master was going to take these over now. After some discussion, old Master Zhao and the housekeeper came up with one solution. He had a concubine called Qiuyue, and she was 21 years old. She looked really charming and was from the village. Zhao was one of her side relatives. Her uncle, Qiuyue, became old Master Zhao's concubine when she was 16 years old. She was just a concubine and could not go back to her mother's home as per the rules. Old Master Zhao had paid her family 10 liang, and that counted as buying her out. She was spoiled. If she behaved well, she could get some presents delivered back to her mother's family during New Year's time. But she did not dare to ask too much, else old Master Zhao's wife would get really irritated and torment her. The wife could just get her killed as easily as pinching an ant. After all, she was just a concubine without any background. But this time, old Master Zhao allowed Qiuyue to return to her mother's family. Qiuyue was surprised, but she was scared too. When she heard that old Master Zhao needed her to do some serious business, she felt much less worried. Qiuyue was wearing a turquoise embroidered dress, with silver hairpins and pink silk flowers on her hairpin. There was thin powder on her face, her eyebrows had been darkened. She had embroidered shoes on her feet and a handkerchief in her hand. She got out of the wagon with the help of her maid Qiuyue and attracted the attention of a lot of people from the village. "Isn't that Qiuyue? Long time no see. You are getting prettier. Look at what she is wearing. She seems to be leading a nice life. But she is just a concubine. That is not good at all. She is just a concubine and is still living well. Still, it is much better to marry a poor farmer." Qiuyue's dad was called Zhao, and her mother was called Ms.Yan. Hearing those words, Ms.Yan glared at them and asked Qiuyue to come into the yard, and she shut the door. "Those villagers know nothing. Ignore them," Ms.Yan said as she observed her daughter. She was so well-dressed and pretty, and that made Ms.Yan feel really satisfied. She smiled. "You are looking so beautiful, almost as good as the noble lady from that big family. Look at what you have on you." Chapter 554. Prying. Qiuyue forced a smile and withdrew her hands secretly. Only she knew what kind of life she was living. She was just a concubine, and it was not at all a good life. People who were short-sighted would say so. Zhao Ming was dressed well and was wearing all kinds of ornaments. That was what a noble lady was actually like. On the other hand, she only had a few pieces of jewelry and a few sets of garments that might lift up her spirit a little. Even Zhao Ming's maid lived a better life than she did. Even her monthly salary was higher than hers. But she would not dare to accept too much money given to her. Otherwise, Madame Zhao would punish her. Old Master Zhao was an old man reaching almost 50 years. Being a concubine for such an old man did not seem like a good life to her at all. She had run into Old Master Zhao one day in the market, and Old Master Zhao liked her instantly. Her parents approved of this marriage. What else could she do? But that was still better than working in the farming field and not being able to get any meat to eat. She couldn't have tolerated that kind of life. Well, that was what she said to console herself. She had not been home for years, and the mother and the daughter kept talking with each other. But when it came to food, she saw plain vegetables and cabbage, as well as one small plate of smoked meat only for her. Qiuyue felt unhappy. She ate much better at Zhao's mansion. There were always 2 dishes with one soup, each of which would contain some meat. Sometimes she could even eat more and better when Madame Zhao was in a good mood. Anything there was better than what she was being served here. She just could not eat these things as she looked at them. Qiuyue emotionally reminded herself. She was not used to the old, bitter days after she spent so much time at the Zhao's mansion. She forced herself to eat half a bowl of rice and put down the chopsticks. Moreover, she could not get used to the accommodation. Qiuyue did not want to stay over anymore. She was thinking about leaving directly after finishing the job. On the day when Qiuyue returned to the village, Qiao Xian asked Hao Dao and Yang Xiaoni to make lipsticks with 4 maids, while she and she went to pull up the tea tree saplings from the garden with the remaining people. They tied them into bunches and carried them to the Zhang village for planting. Due to Qiao Xian's superpower, tea tree seedlings had grown to more than half a meter high and were very strong. The main stem was straight, the branches were full, and the appearance was very good. No one from the first section of the family had done this before, and since it was in the garden which hardly anyone rarely visited, no one would wonder why the tree seedlings grew so fast. The rain stopped, and the day was still cloudy. But Qiao Xian knew that it was not going to rain on this day, nor on the next day. But the rain might come the day after tomorrow. So, it was the best time to plant the tree seedlings. They started to work even before dawn. After breakfast, they transported the first patch of tea tree seedlings to the Zhang village. Together with her own maids and 20 people she had hired from the Zhang village, they planted the tree seedling. It would take 3 days to finish the work. The seedlings would not take up all the land and should be done in half of the area. One more time of seedling the next year, and all would be finished. After all, she knew where the golden sprouts and lavender were in the mountain. What she needed to do was to use her superpower to make them bloom, so the fruits were naturally harvested. She had visited the mountains just a few days ago. Chapter 555. A tribe visit. Qiao Xian had been busy with her work, and when she came back home, it was still very late at night. Yang Xiaoni could not wait to share the gossip with her after seeing her coming home. They had also completed their job at the flower field. Ding Jiaowei's daughter, who was old Master Zhao's concubine, was back home. It was not very strange that someone was a concubine. She was born to a concubine, but she had never lived a life as a concubine's daughter. Nor had she seen anyone who was a concubine of someone. But hearing this news, she more or less felt a little surprised. She also found it a little strange, but she did not dwell on it for much longer. She just exchanged a few words with Yang Xiaoni, Ms.Yan, and Ms. Su. This concubine had never been home for years, but now she was at home in an extraordinary manner. It was said that the Zhao family even gave her a wagon to come home, and the Zhao family gave her many presents to her parents. She even had maids with her. That was strange. The tea tree seedlings grew fast and soon. The rest should be done after the transplantation. Qiao Xian decided to use her superpower to promote growth. In this way, the transplantation was definitely going to work out well. Everyone was very busy. They had a lot of work to do every single day and were all very hungry by the end of the day. Qiao Xian was in charge of cooking. Today she steamed the sausage, washed the smoked duck with warm water, chopped it into pieces, added garlic sprouts, shredded ginger, garlic cloves, and dried chili. Finally, she stir-fried it all together. Then, she braised 2 big Christian carps. There were still a lot of small river prawns that were dried the day before yesterday, and she cooked them all tonight. She fried the river prawns with fresh and tender leeks. The green and red colors were distinct, and they gave off a very nice smell. She made another stir-fried dish of wolfberry sprouts, cold shepherd's purse, and that was it. Dinner was the meal that the whole family looked forward to most every day. The dishes were tasty, and they contain a lot of oil. So, even if they worked the whole day without stopping, they could still feel relaxed after having been served such delicious food. Everyone took a warm bath at the end of the day and relaxed. After resting for one night, the energy returned. The following morning, Qiao Xian, Qi, Liqiu, and Lixia went to pull out the seedlings and tied them into a bunch. After breakfast, they asked Qi to deliver 1 batch to the Zhang village. Qi left the house while Qiao Xian and the others continued to pull the seedlings. This should be done today, and after 1 more delivery in the afternoon, they could start to plant at the Zhang village the following day. No more deliveries would be needed. The seedbed for raising seedlings was turned over and tidied up. Well, it was almost time to plant watermelons. Moreover, peppers, tomatoes, eggplants, beans, pumpkins, wax gourds, chayotes could all be planted. Qiao Xian would not plant so many vegetables in the garden. Only watermelons and tomatoes would do. The others would be planted in the garden later. There would not be any more fruits to add this year. The currant ones would be enough. The peaches, apricots, plums, and pears had all bloomed and borne small, green bean-like fruits. The loquats had also bloomed and bore fruit. The fruits were becoming bigger and riper. The hanging ones were growing very well. In 2 more months, the tree would be full of golden yellow color, and the fruits should be sweet. In the yard, Miss Fong was cleaning the yard whilst her grandchildren were playing on the ground next to the flower parterre when someone knocked at the door. Miss Fong got up, dusted her clothes, and went to open the door. Miss Fong, hello. It was a woman in her 20s, wearing pink silk embroidered clothes and her hair held in a bun, looking very beautiful. She had a maid next to her. Chapter 556. Dislike Ms. Fong found her familiar, but did not recognize her. She narrowed her eyes, sizing her up. Who are you? Ding, Qiuyue smiled shyly. You don't recognize me, Miss Fong? Miss Fong let out an exclamation and was reminded of the girl in front of her. You are Qiuyue. Ding, Qiuyue smiled. It is me. Long time no see, Miss Fong. You look stronger and younger than before. Also, you have such a wonderful house. You're living a better life than before. No wonder you look much better, too. Ding Qiuyue smiled and praised the house as she walked into it. She had been flattering Madame Zhao for years and had developed the ability to praise. She had always been good at flattering people anyways. That made Ms. Fong very happy. She smiled brightly. Not really, just that we have many people in our house and we save some money to build the house. Ding, Qiuyue smiled. But not every family with so many people like yours can afford this house. It must be because of your sons who helped with it, right? True. They are all excellent. Ms. Fong laughed again. But only now did Ms. Fong realize that Ding Qiuyue should not be here. She stiffened. She felt regretful as well. Ding Qiuyue was a concubine of an old man in the town, and old Master Zhao was almost as old as her father. She should not have let her in, since that wasn't a very nice thing to promote. Also, her family had never hung out with this girl earlier. Ding Qiuyue was very surprised when she walked into the house. It was better than hers. Although it was not as glamorous as the Zhao family's house, it was clean, bright, and neat. It was comfortable and spacious, equipped with every single thing needed, especially the glazed window. Not every window of the Zhao family's house was glazed. What on earth did the Zhao family do that they became so rich all of a sudden? Ding Qiuyue almost blurted out the question. Well, is there anything you want from me? Ms. Fong asked, coughing slightly. Ding Qiuyue smiled. Well, I haven't been home for years, so I'm just walking around. I passed by your place and decided to have a talk with you. Are you alone here? Where are your children? Miss Fang's face sank, but she smiled. They are out to do the labor work. They can't get lazy at this time of the year, can they? True, Ding Qiuyue smiled. But I can understand that except for one thing. I heard that one of your daughters-in-law is the county magistrate's daughter. Is she also working in the field? That doesn't seem likely. Ms. Fang's face turned bad when she heard the question. Qiuyue had a special background. So many people would ask about her every now and then. Ms. Fong did not like it. She was her daughter-in-law, and no one else was in a position to judge her. Ms. Fong did not want to explain anything to Ding Qiuyue. So, she answered briefly. Yeah, Ms. Zhao is always very diligent. Ding Qiuyue smiled. That is very rare. You are lucky. Ms. Fong felt bad and became kind of furious. Ding Qiuyue was just an old man's concubine. She was not in a position to comment on whether she was lucky or not regarding Qiuyue being her daughter-in-law. Chapter 557. Careful she was not in a position to comment on Qiuyue. How annoying she was. Ms. Fong did not want to say anything more. Qiuyue, I am going to the gardens soon, so Ding Qiuyue knew that she was looked down upon by many people in the village, and even she herself thought lowly of herself. Ms. Fong was one of the few friendly ones. If she continued to stay, then it would be a problem. Also, she had reached the purpose. She had witnessed what the Zhao family was like and how miserable Qiuyue's life was. Okay, I'm off now, thank you. Ding Qiuyue stood up and left with Hongyu. NIS. Fong walked her out and shut the door. Hongyu pursed and said disdainfully, Just a countryside woman. So arrogant. Ding Qiuyue threw a look at her and said nothing. That was already a very wealthy household for countryside people. If she had the choice, she would choose to live in a family like that. It would be so sweet and nice. Back at home, Ding Qiuyue asked Ms. Guan to hire the bull cart so she could return to the town. She did not want to stay here anymore. She was not used to life here at all. What was the point of staying here? Ms. Guan would have liked that her daughter could stay longer, so she could share some gossip of those rich people, which she was not able to hear in her daily life. But she could not stop her daughter, who insisted upon leaving quickly. She repeatedly told Ding Qiuyue to serve the old master well, so she could get pregnant soon. Best get a son. Ding Qiuyue got really impatient and interrupted her. The old master would turn 50 in 2 years, and the eldest grandson was already 12 years old. How could he make her pregnant? That idea was totally hopeless. On the way back, Ding Qiuyue kept thinking about how to tell her old master what she had seen. Back at Zhao's mansion, she was summoned by old master Zhao directly. The housekeeper did not pry into the Zhao family deeply. He did not think that a countryside family would be worth looking into. Ding Qiuyue did not know much about the latest news after only living at the Zhao's mansion for so many years. She only learned some more after speaking with Ms. Guan. Old Master Zhao was surprised. So the disgraced concubine's daughter of Officer Qiuyue was married to one of the sons of that family. The fifth son's wife is the second miss of the Qiuyue family. I didn't dare to make any decision, thus asking you what I should do later. She had to be very careful when she was dealing with the official's family. Old Master Zhao nodded at her in satisfaction. Good, you were right. How isms? Qiuye's life in the Zhao family? Ding Qiuyue looked disdainful as she smiled. Not very good. When I spoke of second miss, her mother-in-law didn't seem that happy. I asked her a few more questions. It seems that she still needs to work in the field. It seemed that the Zhao family never treated her as the daughter of the county magistrate. Old Master Zhao sneered and believed that was totally reasonable. The second miss had been disgraced and was even worse than the third Mississippi. What was the point of wearing the title of an official's daughter? Maybe when the Zhao family found that she was a discarded girl and no one to back her up, and that she could not bring any benefits for the Zhao family, she would have been bullied there. As for the news that Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan went to the Zhang village a few times to buy properties, old Master Zhao subconsciously believed that Xiao Yunduan was the one in charge, whilst Xiao Xian was just a plus one. Chapter 558. The Zhao family's secret fortune. Old Master Zhao asked Ding Qiuyue what was going on with the Zhao family. Ding Qiuyue told him the truth. The Zhao family had a very large and luxurious house, with every piece of furniture totally new. All the windows were glazed as well. Obviously, the Zhao family had made a fortune. Old Master Zhao was surprised. All glazed windows? That cost quite a lot of money. Even their own family did not have it. The Zhao family had not only made a fortune, but had made a huge one. Otherwise, poor countryside people would not have splurged like this. In fact, the Zhao family would not have spent this much money in building a huge house like this, but for Xiao Xian's proposal. Xiao Xian was disgraced, so her dowry must not have been a lot. So, what on earth did the Zhao family do that they made a huge fortune? That seemed weird. Did you find out where the Zhao family got the money from? Any news in the town? Normally, this kind of thing should have been spread all over the village. Even though it might intentionally be kept as a secret, some people would have heard something. Even if they did not want to admit a thing like this, the rumor would have originated from somewhere. Ding Qiuyue shook her head, forcing a guilty and bitter smile. Sorry, I didn't hear anything regarding this. There was no rumor in the village. Even my mother has no idea about the fields at the Zhang village. But old master, don't worry, I did not tell anyone about this. If the news that the Zhao family had properties at the Zhang village, which later became the Zhao families, people would wonder how that would happen. It was good that no one from Shapting village knew about this. The Zhao family could definitely get the properties in his hands and make a fortune unexpectedly. Old Master Zhao nodded his head. It seemed that the Zhao family was just lucky to have made a huge fortune all of a sudden. That was why they did not say anything but started to buy land outside their own village. As for the big house in the village, Old Master Zhao did not think that it was a big deal. Countryside people had never seen glazed windows, so how much that cost did not surprise them at all. Even when they saw the Zhao family's big house, they would not think that would be worth a lot. Also, no one would look into the house across the tall yard. Okay, you can leave now. Okay, Old Master. Old Master Zhao did not consider giving up even though he learned about Qiuye's identity as County Magistrate Qiuye's daughter. He was not going to get humiliated by the Zhao family who stole the stuff that should have belonged to him. She was just a concubine's daughter. Officer Qiuye's wife would not defend her, so she would have no one backing her up. He could steal stuff from the Zhao family, and in the worst case, he could just visit the Zhao family and give them some presents along with a few nice words. Then all will be fine. Madame Zhao was not going to defend a concubine's daughter, was she? Well, he had to be fast about the whole thing and avoid making a scene. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for Officer Qiuyue to stay away from the mess. Old Master Zhao smiled sinisterly. He already had an idea about what to do. He needed to make use of this concubine of his. They spent half a day sorting through all the tea tree seedlings. After lunch, the pile was loaded up for Qi to transport to the Zhang village. At noon, they made fish porridge, steamed white noodle buns, and cooked a pot of fish soup. Chapter 559. Understanding person. Thinly sliced fish fillets were marinated with ginger, scallion, yellow wine, and salt. After the porridge was almost cooked, the fish fillets were poured and dispersed with chopsticks. The snow-white fish meat soon turned pink and tender as the fragrant smell flew out of the pot. Chopped chives and lettuce were sprinkled over it, making it even more delicious. Qiuyue asked Li Xia to get Ms.Yan over for food. She needed to speak a few words with her afterwards. Ms.Yan was a very understanding woman, and she had thoughts of her own after spending so much time with them. The first section of the family had been so busy, and Qiuyue, Tryout, went into the flower field all the time, but Ms.Yan never asked anything about their purpose. Nor did she suggest that she should follow along. If they did not want to tell her something, she would not pry. Ms.Yan was the only person who knew how to befriend the first section of the family, and only she knew what to do and what not to do. She must be the only clear-minded woman among all the other relatives in the second and third section of the family. That made her a rare person. Qiuyue did not want to waste such a clear-minded woman. The first section of the family had already lived separately from the other sections of the family. So, unless the other sections of the family caused some tremendous trouble, they were still connected with bloodline. Qiuyue had a long, promising future, and there would be many people who would be jealous of him, including those in the village. There would be people who will try to cause trouble among the sections of the family. The first section of the family could protect themselves once or twice, but not always. If someone with a clear mind could restrain the second section of the family, the third section of the family would not be able to cause any major trouble. Also, but for Ms. Yan's information, Qiuyue and Qiuyue would never have found out anything about the real secret behind Xiao Dalong's accident. They would only have taken it as an accident. Therefore, what more would that annoying couple do in secret again? But for Qiuyue's superpower, Xiao Dalong would have lost his leg and not been able to walk, let alone do any heavy labor work. So, that sinister couple was really ill-hearted. One would never know what was coming next. Hence, Qiuyue and Qiuyue owed Ms. Yan a huge favor. It was time for them to pay that back. Ms. Yan had to work in the field these days, so she could not spend too much time with Ms. Fang's family. But every evening on her way back home, she would come and exchange a few words with Ms. Fang and Ms. Su. So, it was very normal that Qiuyue sent her an invitation. Qiuyue knew what Ms. Niu would think about this. So, she made sure the invitation reached them at lunch. Before Ms. Yan could say a thing, Ms. Niu quickly said, "Just go and have lunch there, so we don't need to cook your portion." Ms. Yan, she had no choice but to nod casually, sighing inwardly. This was so embarrassing. Ms. Niu believed that it was a free lunch that her daughter-in-law should take from the first section of the family, who had already started to buy servants. But Ms. Niu got nothing from them, which made her feel annoyed. After lunch at the first section of the family, Ms. Yan sighed again. She felt that if she kept eating at the first section of the family, she would not be able to eat a thing at her own home. If only they could move out. But it was not yet the time. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan asked Ms. Yan to have a private talk in their room. Ms. Yan's heart started to throb. Suddenly, she had a feeling that it was going to be something good. So, she was both nervous and expectant. Chapter 560. Kind-hearted Xiao Xian smiled at Ms. Yan and said earnestly, "Thank you for telling us what happened last time, fourth cousin-in-law. But for you, we would not have been prepared for what might happen afterwards." Nis. Yan's heart skipped a bit. Yes, it was indeed the matter regarding what the former land officer and widow's son did to others. The couple was so fierce. So, their current situation served them right. But she was very scared and shocked by what they did to others. "We have always wanted to repay you, fourth cousin-in-law, but it took a while before we could talk about this. Sorry for the delay." No, it is okay. I did nothing big," Xiao Xian smiled. "Fourth cousin-in-law, one heard that your family is into making tofu, so I have an idea here, which may be helpful for your family." Noon from the second and third section of the family was capable of this task, and any kind of fortune-making method would be ruined in their hands. But Ms. Yan's family was very clever. What Xiao Xian needed to do was to tell Ms. Yan, who could help her mother's family with this method. In this way, Ms. Yan could even help her husband to get a share. That would be enough. That was the decision made by Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian. Ms. Yan nodded with a smile. "Not just making tofu. My brothers can sell a lot of tofu every day, and everyone loves our tofu. 2 restaurants in the town buy tofu exclusively from us." "That is great," Xiao Xian said. "I have got a couple of ways to make bean products here, and I can find a way to send it to the province. If this thing is made well, we don't need to worry about them being sold. If your brothers and the others in your family are interested, we can go over and talk about it in detail. If they are willing, we can do this business together. We get 20% of the profit, and we will share the cost for that 20%. We will not interfere in the daily affairs, and your brothers are still in charge." Ms. Yan threw a look at Xiao Yunduan. Xiao Yunduan smiled briefly. "ELT is your 5th sister-in-law's idea, so she has the say." Ms. Yan smiled brightly and got very excited. She said without hesitation, "You are all smart people, better than us. I trust your ideas. I will come up with a way to go back home and ask my family about it right away. I am sure that they will agree." Ms. Yan could see that the reason why the first section of the family could make a fortune was because Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian were smart people. But Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma could not see that. They only wanted to cause trouble. No wonder they never got anything good happening to them. Ms. Yan did not know much about what exactly was their idea, but she trusted them completely. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan did not need to set her up. There was nothing about her that was worth being set up for. Xiao Xian smiled. "That is great. We will be waiting for your news." "Good. I will be off. We'll talk later." After Ms. Yan left, Xiao Xian smiled at Xiao Yunduan. "Hope that the 4th cousin-in-law's family would not turn us down. In this way, the 2nd section of the family should have someone in charge, and the 3rd section of the family would not be able to do anything alone." Xiao Yunduan took her hands and withdrew quickly before she realized anything. He smiled and said gently, "Thank you, darling." Xiao Xian was startled. "Oh, just want to live in peace." She was not trying to help the first section of the family solve trouble. She could not be sure if he was going to be her husband for real. Chapter 561. Ms. Yan's visit home. Xiao Yunduan was a very gentle man. He curled his lips and nodded in agreement. "You are smart, and you have saved us a lot of trouble. I can deal with the rest." Although the future was not certain, those sweet words were totally suitable to be spoken in this way. Xiao Xian could not help but smile brightly. Holding the excitement in her heart, Ms. Yan returned to the 2nd section of the family, pretending as if nothing were happening. She ignored Ms. Zhang's sour words and asked Xiao Sailang, namely her husband, to join her in the field. Nis. Zhang had been saying mean things about her and laughing at her all this while. She said that she was even worse than the maids at the 1st section of the family, and that her flattery did not work because they never taught her how to make a fortune. She said that Ms. Yan kept sucking up to the first section of the family, and it was so stupid of her not to give up. NIS. Yin was very angry at the beginning, but after hearing those words for too long, she ignored her whenever she tried to say something. But when she heard the words today, she had a slightly different thought in mind. If Ms. Zhang knew that the first section of the family was helping her out so her family could make a fortune, Ms. Zhang would definitely get so annoyed. That made her feel refreshed. Ms. Yan never believed that Ms. Zhang was pitiful. She just found her behavior to be disgusting. She whispered to herself in heart, "Wait and see." The couple had just walked out of the village when Ms. Yan told her husband that she needed to pay a visit home instantly, and that her husband should work alone in the field so that he could shield her. Zhao Silang did not ask the reason for it, but nodded with a smile and asked her to return as soon as possible. Ms. Yan had an ordinary appearance, but she treated her husband with a true heart. She was very gentle and considerate in almost every aspect, so Zhao Silang was totally taken in by her and agreed with whatever she said to him. Ms. Yan rushed back home and told her parents and brothers about what Zhao Xian told her. She even tried to persuade them into saying yes to the proposal. Mr. Yin and his two sons all exchanged a look between themselves. They had no idea what was going on. What was wrong with Yin Jiao? She rushed home and told them such a vague thing that confused them totally. Mrs. Yin realized what was going on before everyone else did. She said, "My daughter is right. It is definitely going to be a great idea. Let's get them here to talk about it in detail. We need to talk face to face. I don't think my daughter ever makes any mistakes." She had spoiled her daughter rotten. Ms. Yin was very excited and rubbed herself against her mother. "Mom, you are the best." Mrs. Yin was very excited as well. She consoled her with a smile. "Of course I am." Then, Mrs. Yin said with determination, "Good. Get them here and talk about this." Ms. Yin said, "The sooner, the better. Tomorrow will do." Mrs. Yin, "Yes, tomorrow works." The father and the two sons. Mr. Yin sighed. "Okay, it is a deal." If he tried to object to the idea, the mother and the daughter would make a huge fuss about it. Once her work was done, Ms. Yin was about to go home. But Mrs. Yin did not want her to go so easily. She asked her daughter-in-law to boil a few eggs for her to eat on the way, and even asked her son to accompany her home, making sure she was safe. She even told her not to come here alone, but to bring Zhao Silang with her. Ms. Yin had to agree to her mother. Chapter 562. Meeting with the Yin family, she was not walking on an isolated path and came across many familiar faces, though not everyone was familiar. How could she run into any trouble? Once her brother accompanied her to the entrance of Shouting Village, Ms. Yin insisted that he should go back. So, her brother had to leave it there. Ms. Yin went into the field and joined Zhao Silang. She even gave him the 2 boiled eggs she brought from her mother's family. That made Zhao Silang very happy, thinking that his wife was so nice towards him and spared every bite of food for him. Ms. Yin told Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan about it, and asked if they could visit her family the next day. Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian believed that it was a good idea to start as soon as possible, and agreed readily. They arranged to meet with Ms. Yin at the entrance of the village the next day. After breakfast, they rode the donkey cart and visited the Yin family together. Qiao Xian brought some homemade yuba and smoke-dried tofu, bean cream skin, and tofu puffs alongside. Apart from the yuba and the sun-dried bean cream skin, the smoke-dried tofu and tofu pulls were made the day before for their family to eat. Qiao Xian had no idea how to make those, but she learned the dishes from her space, which gave her a lot of instructions about how to make various bean products. Qiao Xian followed the steps and managed to make them all. She planned to buy some fresh meat from the town to go with the tofu puffs. She was going to mix the minced meat with a small amount of steamed, glutinous rice, and add some chopped spring leeks to it. Then, she was going to let Tao Tao and Xiaoqi go to the river to catch some small river prawns, bake them, and add them as well. Once the ingredients were mixed well, a little salt would be added to the taste. Nothing else would be needed apart from these. After brewing, she could steam some of it on the steamer and deep fry the other part. After it was cooked, they could eat them directly or make soup, thicken it, and cook it. It was going to be a delicious dish in all forms. The Yin family were all present, and they instantly liked Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan when they met, with Qiao Xian being the daughter of the county magistrate, while Xiao Yunduan being the cultivated talent. Both sides greeted each other happily, and they were very satisfied with one another. They could not help but develop the feeling that the other party was reliable. That made the communication between them go faster and smoother. Qiao Xian brought out the bean products she had prepared in front of the Yin family, who were all surprised. The Yin family had been devoted to the tofu business since the generation of Ms.Yan's grandfather, and it was a craftsmanship that had been passed down for generations. That was why the Yin family cherished this skill deeply and passed down the skill from fathers to sons. As a result, they could tell the specialties of these bean products directly. What are these? How do they taste? Mr. Yan's heart throbbed, and he became very excited. Craftsmen were always sensitive towards new products made by new skills. They could even tell if that skill was valuable. Qiao Xian made the introduction. These are yuba, tofu cream skin, puffs, and smoke-dried tofu. You can tell that all of these are bean products. We could try making them and see how they taste. Okay. Mr. Yin smiled. Then, stay for lunch, and please tell my wife and daughter how to make the dishes so that they can do it for us. Qiao Xian had not intended to cook personally. She was going to let them do it so that they could be fully convinced. Okay, then we will be staying for lunch. Chapter 563. Tryout. There were all kinds of standard and innovative mixtures for bean products. All chefs could come up with all kinds of new dishes as long as they thought about them carefully. But what Qiao Xian told them were just ordinary ways of making those dishes. Roasted chicken nuggets with yuba, stir-fried dried bean curd with celery and vegetables, shredded fried bean curd in cold sauce, glutinous rice with diced bacon stuffed with tofu puffs, and one of these bean products for a huge mixture with chili. Those bean products would sell well when they were cooked with other side ingredients. Meat could be added too, but the price might be a bit too high for the common civilians to afford. So, vegetables as side dishes for the wok should leave some space for the original taste to show. Also, dishes with meat would have a better taste. Tofu could be good either with vegetables or with meat, thus being really popular. The two daughter-in-laws of the Yin family got busy. They killed chicken, soaked yubas, and washed the smoked meat, getting ready to cook lunch. Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian had a casual conversation, and Ms. Yan showed them around the village. Soon, it was time for lunch. When the dishes were done, they were served warm to the table. Mr. Yin asked the two guests to take the seat, followed by his own family. The dishes looked really good, and the smell was so appealing that the Yin family had already understood what Qiao Xian meant. Mr. Yin tasted the cold dish first while he asked the others to start with the dishes. He was taken aback when he took the first bite. It was soft and chewy, and the more he chewed, the better it became. It had an attractive bean fragrance, which was completely different from tofu. The dried tofu, yuba, and puffs all had different textures when cooked with vegetables or meat. They would be equally popular as tofu itself. Moreover, it could be preserved longer than tofu, especially the sun-dried yuba and cream skin. The three men of the Yin family exchanged an excited look between themselves. This was wonderful. It was such a pie from the sky. Everyone would want to have this business for themselves. With these bean products, the Yin family should be able to make a huge progress in their business. The Yin family would be able to get rich very soon. Please, let's eat first. Help yourself. We can talk about business after we're done with the food. Okay, Uncle Yin. Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian understood that the Yin family was quite willing to take the offer. After lunch, Mr. Yin and the two sons of the Yin family asked Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian to take their seats and started to discuss this business vividly. The couple would pass on the craftsmanship to the Yin family without concealing anything, but they wanted 30% of the profits after 30% of the capital. They promised not to get involved with other affairs, which would be under the Yin family alone. That was finally agreed between the two parties. They knew clearly how precious the craftsmanship was, and when the couple offered 30% of the profits whilst offering 30% of the capital, the couple did not take any advantage in the deal. The Yin family had years of experience in making tofu with good quality and reputation, so they had many old clients who were willing to buy stuff from them. They had accumulated a lot of money. So they decided to invest 100 liang, with the couple offering 30 whilst they put in 70. 70 liang was enough for the Yan family and comprised almost all the savings they had. Chapter 564. Way ahead apparently. The Yan family found the business promising, thus were willing to invest in it instantly. Qiuyue and Zhao Yunduan decided to leave the workshop building and equipment and labor purchase to the Yan family alone. They had been in the tofu business for so long, and no one had managed to copy them, so they must be very good at keeping their craftsmanship a secret. The couple did not need to worry about anything at all, but Qiuyue suggested that the workshop should be built on a larger land, in case there would be expansion in the future. If the land was too small, it would cause them a lot of trouble in the future. As for the way of selling them, the Yan family had their own clients, so they could definitely sell it well in the town. On the other hand, Qiuyue and Zhao Yunduan still remembered their friend, the Yuezhing family in the province. Yubas and dried cream skin could be preserved well, so a pickup a month should be enough. Dried tofu and puffs could be picked up every third day. The province and town were not very far away from each other. Qiuyue was thinking that after she had a talk with Yuezhing Zhao, she should tell the Yan family about this so that they could reveal to the public that they were doing business with the Yuezhang family in the province, saving themselves a lot of trouble. After all, wealth could touch people's hearts. The moment the bean products were launched in the market and the business dicked up, some people might want to get involved. She could tell that this special kind of bean product could become a very popular ingredient in common people's homes as well as at the restaurants, and there would be people who were greedy for that soon enough. But with the Yuezhing family as the protector, a lot of trouble could be saved. Mr. Yan had been a businessman for years, and he had thought about this potential problem as well. He admitted the concern to the couple frankly. The couple exchanged a look, and Zhao Yunduan smiled. "Uncle Yan, don't worry, we have thought about this before. What you need to do is to do the business well and leave the rest to us." Mr. Yan asked nothing more and smiled. "Okay, then we will not worry about this. One more thing." Zhao Yunduan said, "My cousin is not employed. How about you hiring him so he could make some money to support the family?" Ms. Yan's eyes were bright, and she felt very grateful to him. She would have told her mother about this later, but Zhao Yunduan mentioned it now, making it easier. She had brought in such huge business for her family, and she could make any request she wanted. But when Zhao Yunduan mentioned this first, there was no one who could object. It would be different if it was proposed by her. Of course, Mr. Yan was very happy to help his son-in-law, so he agreed. "We will be hiring manpower anyway, so if he's part of our family, we will not be too worried." Zhao Yunduan nodded. "In that case, he could be here as soon as possible." "Well, you are still in charge, and I have 30% of the profits. If he wants to buy my shares, I can sell them to him at 10 liang for 10%. We need to follow the market price." Ms. Yan turned to him and felt excited. 30 liang of capital at the moment could become hundreds of liang soon. Business would bloom, and the share would grow as well. The share would become much more expensive. Chapter 565. Not to them if she could buy 10% right now, then the profits would guarantee them enough money for the rest of their life. She could not buy 20%, the couple needed to make some money as well. If they gave her everything, they would not be able to earn any profits. But Zhao Yunduan's proposal made her realize that she could buy 10% at the moment. Ms. Yan always knew what to say and what to do. Qiuyue smiled. "You can talk about this among yourselves and think about our proposal. We will come and sign a contract in a few days so that we have proof for both sides." The two sons of the Yan family nodded in agreement. It was an open and fair deal between them, in case there was some contradiction in the future and the family relationship was ruined. At that time, we will bring the instructions. Oh, one more thing. Since we will give you the secret, we will not sell it to anyone else or do it ourselves. The scope is within our province. But you can't sell this to anyone else, which should be written in our contract, agreed? Mr. Yan nodded after a moment of consideration. He also felt assured after listening to this clause. Qiuyue and Zhao Yunduan gave the instructions to them for free, and they could not possibly sell elsewhere. That would be so dishonest. If they could earn this much money with the instructions, what was the point of being dishonest? Qiuyue had promised that she was not going to share the business secrets anywhere or make it on their own. So it meant that the Yin family should be the only one who would make such products. That was enough. Maybe after some decades, someone would figure out the secret, but by then, they would have already taken over the market. Also, they would not step anywhere outside the province, since it was already huge enough for them. Moreover, they were not the only family that sold tofu here in the county. They would expand their bean products industry, and for that the province should be enough for them. This cultivated talent and his wife were trustworthy people. The two sons of the Yin family could not help but sigh emotionally. They had a good time, and the deal was almost done. Zhao Yunduan and Qiuyue headed home with Nis. Yan. Ms. Yan had Tin Liang herself, and she did not need her family's help. After a moment of hesitation, she asked with a smile, "Fifth sister-in-law and fifth brother, can we really buy 10% from you?" Tin Liang for 10%, that would come back to them very soon. What they needed to do was to wait for the profits to come to their pocket. Qiuyue smiled. "Of course, it is 10 liang for you. If you want to buy 10%, we can write this on the contract." Ms. Yan had offered them help, and this was what she deserved to have. Whatever more she would receive from the Yin family was their family's concern. Ms. Yan smiled brightly and said gratefully, "You are helping us. I know that. I will buy 10%, and I will fetch the money and give it to you." Qiuyue nodded with a smile. "Okay." Ms. Yan thought for a while and said hesitantly, "But can you not tell my in-laws about this? If they get to know about this, there will be a lot of trouble arising in the family." Chapter 566. No problem. Soon my husband would start to work at my father's workshop, and I will use the payout to cover the daily expenses. She could use the payout to cover the expenses, but she was going to keep the 10%. Qiuyue did not think that was strange because they were all living together. Ms. Yan could not possibly support the whole second section of the family, right? "We are not going to tell them, but you should work on your husband on your own. You are paying for your own share, and it belongs to you alone." True, the share was hers all alone, since she was using her dowry to pay for that. Hence, the profits should become hers as well. So, she did not need to be worried about it. Relieved, Ms. Yan thanked Qiuyue happily. Back at home, Ms. Yan instantly took out 10 liang from her dowry and gave that to Qiuyue. She trusted Qiuyue and did not ask for any written proof. Qiuyue would not want to steal her money. Qiuyue gave the Yin family 2 days to discuss the deal, so she did not hurry back there. They had already got the contract drawn, and Zhao Yunduan had written down the instructions to make yubas and dried tofu, which was recounted by Qiuyue. The next day, Qiuyue found the time to visit the mountain with Qi, Tao, and Qiuyue. At this time, there were many more kinds of mushrooms, bracken, spring bamboo shoots, and all kinds of fresh and tender wild vegetables in the mountains. They not only ate them, but also dried them out so that they could last for half a year. These were ordinary goods from mountains, so they did not need to go deep into the mountains to get them. Moreover, Qiuyue as well as the other maids were not familiar with the mountain, so they did not go too deep inside. They were not very strong, but were of some help. They brought a lot of things home, and Qi held 2 large, chubby roosters. They had many hands to help them process the mushrooms, spring bamboos, and brackens this time around. In the afternoon, Qiuyue checked out the mushroom shed in the garden and asked the maids to help with the picking. They had all the mushrooms, wooden ears, and snow fungus picked in just one afternoon. That was what sufficient labor could do. She had them all placed in a big dustpan for sun drying. Qiuyue thought that after the spring plow passed, she was going to hire more villagers to plant snow fungus. The following day, they got the beeswax, which was going to be processed after their visit to the Yin family. Also, the roses were going to be in full bloom soon. Nis. Yin did not tell her in-laws about the previous visit and had asked Zhao Silang to shelter her, which he agreed happily to. That was what she did on the day of contract signing as well. She had already told Zhao Silang about how her family would get him to work for them and pay them too, which pleased Zhao Silang completely. If she had not stressed to him that this should not be revealed to anyone, Zhao Silang would have shown off in front of his parents. So, when he went out to work in the field with his wife, and she said that she needed to take a trip back to her mother's home. Xiao Silang concealed the secret for her again. The two parties exchanged the contracts, expressed a few thoughts, and signed the deal in the end. After the contract was settled, Xiao Yunduan copied 3 sets, so he and Xiao Xian, the Yin family as well as Ms.Yan had 1 each respectively. NIS. Yin had 15% shares. The extra 5% was given by her family as a commission fee. Chapter 567. Trying Best Mr. Yin asked Ms. Yin to tell her husband to finish the labor, so he could come and offer some help. It was settled that he would get 700 won a month, and he would have 3 days of break during each month. Ms. Yin was very satisfied with the arrangement. This salary was not going to end up in Ms. Yan's hands. Ms. Neo even wanted to steal her dowry. If her family was not this strong, she might have even offered Ms. Neo her portion as well. A mother-in-law would always have her ways to torment her daughter-in-law. So, the payment was going to be given to Ms. Neo no matter what. If her husband was strong enough, he might get 20 or 30 when out of the 700 from his mother's hands. But even that might not be possible. Anyways, she was going to try. In the end, it did not matter. If her parents planned to give her husband a raise, he could possibly conceal the real amount then and keep the extra with himself. As long as he would have the work, it was going to be fine. Most importantly, she could earn her own profits from this. That would be enough for her. 2 or 3 years later, she was going to ask her parents and brothers to help her get separated from this family. She might have to face some losses on the surface, but as long as they could live separately, they would have a good life ahead. NIS. Yin had made her plan for her life. They all returned to their homes after the deal was signed. Ms. Yan got off the donkey cart before she reached the village. She went into the field to meet her husband. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian were heading home on their donkey cart when they were almost bumped into by a wagon behind their back. The donkey got startled and Xiao Xian almost fell off it. Who was that? So rude. Xiao Yunduan let out a sigh of relief, seeing that she was not hurt. He watched the wagon heading away, eyebrows raised. Xiao Xian pursed her lips. She had lost her good mood. How annoying. Gossip arose when they were eating lunch, and the answer was found. The wagon must be holding the concubine of the Zhao family. The concubine was back again after being away for a few days. Xiao Xian mentioned in front of the family that the wagon almost bumped her and Xiao Yunduan's donkey cart. Ms. Fang got so furious when she thought of what happened last time. What is that concubine going wild for? Bumping people away in the village. If someone gets hurt, even the Zhao family can't solve the problem. Tao Tao added, "Good that you are fine, or we will not let her go." Yeah, true. Yang Xiaoni was confused. Strange. I heard that large families have their rules, and concubines cannot leave home at their wish. What is she doing here with her own family? And she's back so soon. Everyone was startled hearing what she said. True. What is she doing here again? She never went home before, and now she was coming over so frequently. Also, nothing much was happening at Ding Jiaohui's home. Hence, the Zhao family should not care about Ding Jiaohui either. They were not related. Who would care about anyone's business? Anyway, that is their own problem. We can leave them alone. Ms. Fang said, "Don't gossip about it. Maybe they're up to no good." They were curious, but not nosy. They needed to stay away from someone's concubine in case it would bring trouble to them. Chapter 568. Not getting through. Xiao Xian did not like Ding Qiuyue, especially when she realized that she was the concubine of Zhao Guanghua and Zhao Ming's father. When she thought about this, Xiao Xian got a little worried as she remembered Xiao Wei. Ding Qiuyue could not be here for her. Could she? What could have motivated her to come back to her home so soon? Also, could the Zhao family let her be here so easily without any purpose? Mom, I don't think she's up to any good. If she comes to our home, don't let her in, okay? Ding Qiuyue was just a concubine, and it was very normal that she was not welcome to anyone's home. So, it was not a rude thing if Ding Qiuyue was turned down at the doorstep. Xiao Xian did not take Ding Qiuyue as a threat, but she was worried that Xiao Wei could be acting on a whim. Again, she had many things that could handle any tricky situation, but she did not want to deal with Qiuyue right now. She needed to wait until Zhao Yunduan finished the examination. What if they were sinister enough to ruin Zhao Yunduan's future? That would be terrible, but she was very curious. If Qiuyue was involved, why was a concubine of someone else's family here to work on the forefront? That did not make sense. Xiao Xin felt that she was thinking too much about it. But Ding Qiuyue should not come to her home. That would save her from any unforeseen problem. Ms. Fong said, "Don't worry. I don't like her much. She was here last time, and I didn't take to her. I want to allow her to be here again." That startled everyone else. Ding Qiuyue was here? When? Ms. Fong said indifferently, "You were all out for work. I was here alone. She said some ill words, so I drove her out with an excuse. How dare she try to pry into her daughter-in-law and make comments about her? She was not in a position to do so." Xiao Xin pursed her lips. "So, that concubine was here last time? If she came over again, then something weird was definitely going on. If she was not here this time, then she might have thought too much about it." Before Xiao Xin was about to say something, Zhao Yunduan already said, "Mom, elder sister-in-law and third sister-in-law, if Ding Qiuyue comes over again, do not let her in, okay? I don't think she's up to any good." Xiao Xin smiled at Zhao Yunduan. Zhao Yunduan thought about the same thing. Zhao Yunduan was the backbone of the family, and his words were loud enough for others to hear. They all nodded and made the promise. After lunch, some took a nap, some went to visit others. It was soon very quiet in the yard. In the afternoon, they started to work respectively. It was going to be March soon, and in 1 week, they should start to plant the seedlings. When the seedlings grew big enough, they would start planting other things. So, they kept putting the crop on the empty land. There were also weeds in the bamboo forest, which should also be cut with a sickle, cleaned up, and then loosened with a hoe. Otherwise, the weeds would grow everywhere and make it difficult to do the work. Xiao Xin did not step out in the afternoon. Zhao Yunduan was studying while she was reading and napping in the bedroom. Ms. Fong had just taken a nap when the sound of door knocking arose outside. She frowned and asked, "Who is it?" "Ms. Fong, it is me, Qiuyue. I would like to have a chat with you." Ding Qiuyue's smiling voice floated in from outside. Chapter 569, Strange Mess. Fang's face changed. She really came over. What was she doing here again? Ms. Fong felt that Ding Qiuyue wasn't up to anything good. She did not need Zhao Yunduan's reminder. Her family and Ding Qiuyue's family were not very close to each other. They just greeted each other briefly when they encountered each other on the way, or exchanged some words on a few occasions. So, what was Ding Qiuyue doing here at her place, so often rather than keep her parents company and visit the other relatives from the Ding family? "I am very busy and don't have time to receive you. Come back next time." Ding Qiuyue smiled. "Ms. Fong, can you open the door? One won't keep you for long. We're all friends, right? You don't need to receive me. I just need to ask you about one thing." "Oh, please don't. I am just a countryside grandma who knows nothing. I can't tell you anything, sorry." "Ms. Fong, you are just being modest. We can't just talk with a door between us, right? Can't you just open the door? Or are you looking down at me?" Ms. Fong pursed her lips, saying to herself that there was no need to act sweet in front of her. She was not old Master Zhao. That is not true. What is the point of looking down at you? I need to cook in the kitchen. I am busy now. Having said those words, Ms. Fong left the courtyard in a hurry. She did not bother to talk with Ding Qiuyue again. How strange. "Ms. Fong, please." Ding Qiuyue knocked at the door, but no voice arose from behind the door. She could not help but feel distressed. She was absent-minded for a while and had no choice but to turn around. "You felt distressed too," she said involuntarily. "Ms. Concubine, the Zhao family are so rude. She is just a countryside grandma. How could she act like this?" Ding Qiuyue glanced at her. "That is what it is like. What can we do about it?" You fell stuck in words. "Let's head home first." Ding Qiuyue paid another visit in the afternoon, but Ms. Fong ignored her again. Ding Qiuyue might not be smart, but she could sense that the Zhao family ignored her on purpose. She was furious and anxious. They could not have possibly known about her plan, but then why was she not allowed to come in? Could it be because they did not want to hang out with people poorer than they were, just because they had become richer than before? But she was allowed in last time, wasn't she? If she could not go into the house, she would not be able to finish the task that the old master gave to her. She was promised to be granted with great gifts after she accomplished the goal. Qiuyue was feeling really anxious. The next morning, Qiuyue came to the first section of the family again. She kept calling out Ms. Fang's name, but before she could coax her with some sweet words, a young lattice voice arose from behind the door. "Concubine Ding, I am curious about what you're doing with my mom." Qiuyue was startled. She forced a smile. "Please, which daughter-in-law are you? Can you open the door once? I have a few words to say, and one will be off after that." "Concubine Ding, please come back in the afternoon." Qiuyue was so annoyed. What a strange family. With a sunk face, she said sweetly, "Okay, one will come back after lunch." Qiuyue left in anger. Behind the door, Xiao snorted. "Back after lunch? Hope you will still have the courage to return here." Chapter 570. Meeting Xiao was already sure by now that Qiuyue was up to no good. Xiao turned to Xiao Yunduan, but the couple just could not figure out when they offended the Zhao family, that the Zhao family sent a concubine to deal with them. Xiao Yunduan denied that it should be related to Qiuyue when Xiao shared her speculations. Qiuyue did not care about Xiao and the Xiao family, so whenever she wanted to give them trouble, she would always do it straightforwardly. So there was no need for her to use an old man's concubine to give them a hard time. Xiao nodded in agreement. She was too nervous and hence kept associating the matter with Qiuyue. If the Zhao family was the only enemy, they did not need to be so worried. After all, they had someone backing them up as well. "It is very troublesome if she keeps pestering us. I will go and deal with her." Xiao Yunduan smiled. "How do you plan to deal with her?" "It is simple. My mom and elder sister-in-law will visit her, asking her parents as to what their daughter is doing by coming to our doorstep so many times. Let her reply in front of everyone, so we get an idea about the truth." Xiao Yunduan. He laughed. "Good idea." Xiao smiled as well. "Elle thinks so too." She could not wait to tell Ms. Fang and Ms. Su about this. Ms. Fang and Ms. Su both disliked Qiuyue, so the three of them went out at this time. Ms. Su was taken along by them because she was a pregnant woman who would always be respected and carefully watched out for. All Ms. Su needed to do was stand next to them and play her role as a pregnant woman. Also, Xiao and Ms. Fang were not there to have a fight. They were just showing concern to Qiuyue. More importantly, they were going to reveal the secret, so she would not have the chance to sneak around. Qiuyue had never expected that the moment she arrived home and her mom was going to talk with her, Ms. Fang came there with Ms. Qiao and Ms. Su. "What on earth has happened to Qiuyue? She came to our place twice yesterday and once today. We were too busy to receive her and just exchanged some words across the door. She said that she needed to ask me something. I am curious about what is so urgent. I don't have much knowledge of anything, but Qiuyue, you asked me for help, so I should show some concern. Right? We are from the same village, so I'm here to ask about it. I can't just let you come to our place all the time, right? I feel so sorry to have let you do that so many times already. Qiuyue, just tell us what you need. We are all ears to hear you." Ms. Guan, Jiahuai, and everyone else at the Ding family were shocked. They had just come home for food, but before they were able to eat anything, they received the news. Qiuyue was dumbfounded. She was so angry inside her heart. No, this should not have unfolded in such a manner. Old Master told her to get into the Xiao family, so if she could get any one item out of the Xiao family, anything would do. If she could not get anything from the Xiao family, then she could tear some of her clothes and ruffle her hair as if she were running out of the Xiao family in anxiety. She needed to make sure that she was seen by someone, not necessarily too many people, just enough so that the scene could cause some suspicious rumors. In this way, there would be enough bargaining chips for them to make a deal with the Zhao family. Chapter 571. Trap. If they did not sell the field to the Zhao family, then old Master Zhao would spread the rumor that Xiao Yunduan assaulted his concubine. As a result, Xiao Yunduan's name would be ruined. At that time, she would act as the victim. As long as she was inside the house of the Xiao family, No one would know exactly what happened there. She could just make up any story that she liked, and with some extra effort, her old master was definitely going to ruin Xiao Yunduan's name. The first section of the family could not afford to make Xiao Yunduan lose his future, so they would definitely offer to sell the fields. Moreover, they would have to sell them at a very low price. That was a simple method, and it should work out well if it was done properly. As long as it could work out well, it should be considered as a seamless plan. Once she made it happen, no one from the first section of the family would be able to defend themselves with any excuse. A rumor spread out of this aspect would ruin someone's future no matter what they became in the end. It was never going to be erased from one's past. More importantly, Officer Qiao disliked Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan. So even if Qiao Xian decided to report the matter to the governmental office, the case would not be settled in a proper way. Luckily, the whole family disliked Ding Qiuyue and never allowed her to enter the yard. As long as Ding Qiuyue was not allowed into the yard, she would have no way to play the trick. So, Xiao Yunduan dodged a bullet purely by accident. Ding Qiuyue had thought that it was a simple and easy thing to do. She just needed to sacrifice a little of her reputation. But the old master was the only person she could rely on, so she had to do whatever the old master told her to. The old master even told her that she would be granted 20 liang after the plan worked out. 20 liang, that was a huge amount for her. But what she had not expected was that Ms. Fong disliked her so much that she did not allow her to even step into the yard. What she had never expected was that she came with her daughters-in-law to her own door and made a statement in front of her own family. How should she answer now? She had nothing to ask Ms. Fong, who was useless to her. But what could she say to fool them now? NIS. Guan's eyes widened. What? NIS. Fong, did you just say that Qiuyue came to your door and asked you for some advice? Yeah. Ms. Fong sighed. I'm not sure what is the matter. Ms. Guan frowned and threw a displeased look at Ding Qiuyue. Why was her daughter not talking to her, but reaching out to Ms. Fong? Could it be because she wanted only to talk to rich people, not poor ones like her own mother? Ms. Guan felt kind of hurt. Yeah, Qiuyue, speak up. Just say it. Ding Qiuyue could not make up a story and uttered a few words nervously. Oh, I just wanted to ask. Ask how much did the new house cost you? Just asking, yeah. Ding Jiaowei's eyes brightened as he said excitedly, Qiuyue, are you wanting to build a house like that for us as well? Ms. Guan, her son, as well as her daughter-in-law, all got excited upon hearing that. My daughter, you are so kind. You remember us all. The Ding family nodded in happiness. Qiuyue, you treat us so nicely. You never forget to share anything with us. Chapter 572. Not meaning now, it was time for Ding Qiuyue to get dumbfounded. That was definitely not what she meant. Ding Qiuyue did not like it when her parents sold her to old master Zhao as a concubine. In fact, she hated how they made the decision, especially now that she was living a terrible life at the Zhao family. Sometimes she also hoped that her mother's family would flourish so she could have a backup and have some place to live when she needed one. Building a new house for them? She had no money to build them a house. Before she could say anything more, Ms. Fong chuckled with a smile. Oh, that is simple. I could have told you before if you had asked me. Not that much money, just 30 or 40 liang. The Zhao family is too rich to take this as a huge amount. Actually, you can ask the Zhao family to build this for you. They are so rich, and they are full of people to help with the construction. Oh, congratulations. You're going to live a good life. Ms. Guan grinned brightly. Yes, thanks. I'm so proud of my daughter. Qiuyue loves you. That is your luck. Ah. That is true. Anyways, you can talk about this between yourselves. I am sure that with old Master Zhao around, everything can be solved easily. You don't need to ask us about this. Qiuyue is just being cautious. I am off now. We have much work to do at home. Ah. Okay, come and talk with us whenever you have time. Ding Qiuyue. Ding Qiuyue was so angry that she could not utter even a single word. What was going on? When Ms. Fong left Ding Jiaowei's home with her two daughters-in-law, all of them could not help but burst into laughter. Serve her right, trapping her in her own plan. Xiao Xin smiled. We were not trapping her. We were just revealing her inner thoughts to her family. Yes. Huh. The three women left Ding Qiuyue's home happily, and Ding Qiuyue's home was also filled with happiness. The whole family all turned to look at Ding Qiuyue, which creeped her out. Come on, Qiuyue, tell us slowly. You should have told us earlier about it. Ha 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 ha. We don't need such a big house. A smaller one will do. But we want the same kind of windows. They look so nice and bright. Yeah. But sister, you were kind enough to offer us a big house. We must accept it. Also, we will have many children in the future, so we will need a spacious place. Yeah, true. Ding Qiuyue got so annoyed and snapped. Enough, stop it. The others froze suddenly. Ding Qiuyue said, yeah, we all should stop talking about it. Just leave it to Qiuyue. Yeah. The others all turned to Ding Qiuyue with a smile. Ding Qiuyue gasped. She was being pressurized. She had no money. She could have built one for them if she had money. But the thing was that she had nothing. Chapter 573. Dumbfounded. She could not produce money out of nowhere, and she needed to put it straightforwardly in front of the family. Don't ever dream about it. Ding Qiuyue sneered. I have never mentioned building a house. I have no money for that either. Moreover, they even wanted the windows like at the Zhao family's house. Ignorant people. Did they know that a window like that would be worth more than herself when she was sold? What? The Ding family did not understand until a while later. What did you just say? Ding Qiuyue said coldly. Since when did I say that I want to build a house for, but I never said any such thing. It was all your assumption. Ms.Yan and the others were dumbfounded. Their beautiful dream had been shattered before they could even think about it properly. The Ding family were so disappointed and furious. People were strange. No one had mentioned this before, so no one had thought that Ding Qiuyue should build a house for them. But after the coincidental talk, the whole family got very upset and felt that it was Ding Qiuyue's fault that she denied the possibility. The Zhao family are so rich, you can't even give us a dozen of liang? You have not earned even this much after all these years? Ding Qiuyue snapped furiously. Ding Qiuyue sneered and turned to look at him with a grudge. I'm a concubine, you know. I am not in charge of the Zhao family's money. I have not even seen what a dozen liang looks like so far. If you want it, you can go to the Zhao family and ask for it directly. You. Ding Qiuyue turned even more furious. If you had gotten pregnant and sucked up to them, you would not have ended up like this. Look at yourself. No man would like you. Ding Qiuyue burst into tears and snapped back. You sold me to become a concubine. What more do you want of me? You want to kill me? It was a mess in the Ding family. In the end, Ding Qiuyue left with a sunk face, and the mess did not end until Ms. Yan dragged Ding Qiuyue back into the room. Ms. Yan was very unsatisfied by the shattered dream. Still, she could not help but feel concerned about her daughter. She wanted to shout at her, but held back. She sighed deeply. We are poor. Don't blame your father and brother for what they said to you. Ding Qiuyue looked up at her coldly after wiping away the tears. Nobody cared about her, no matter whether she would blame them or not. Mom, I'm telling you the truth. Old Master sent me back for a specific purpose. Ding Qiuyue had no choice but to confess. She hoped that Ms. Yan could give her a hand. She knew clearly what her old master was like. If she failed this simple mission, her old master would not forgive her and instead punish her in the end. Ms. Yan was shocked and dumbfounded. I have told you everything. Keep your mouth sealed and leak no words to anyone. Old Master Zhao is not very easy to deal with, and he doesn't like rumors about his family. Oh, got it. Ms. Yan got frightened and nodded, turning pale. But your reputation will be... She just did not understand this. Her daughter was married to Old Master Zhao. How could Old Master Zhao make his woman do this kind of thing? That was so wrong. Actually, everything felt wrong about this. Chapter 574. No solutions. Ding Qiuyue sneered. I'm a concubine. Since when did I have a reputation? Ms. Yan was mute, feeling slightly uncomfortable in heart. She felt a little guilty too. She threw a look at Ding Qiuyue and was about to defend herself, but then she gave up. Old Master Zhao had laid eyes on her and asked the housekeeper to come by. What else could she do? Ding Qiuyue said, You have to help me to go inside the first section of the family's home. Ms. Guan's head turned blank. I have no solution, either. We're not in a close relationship with the Zhao family. It is not. Qiuyue turned fretful. You must help me, somehow. I will be punished by the old master. The old master will give me 10 liang after the mission is completed. I will give you half if it works out. Ms. Guan's eyes turned bright. For real. Qiyue's eyes turned cold, and her heart sank. Only money could motivate her parents to do something. They had some feelings for her, but in front of money, she was nothing. For real. So, Ms. Guan decided to give it a try. After breakfast, Ms. Guan went to the first section of the family with Qiuyue under the guise of offering an apology. Once Qiuyue walked in, she could just sneak away to the side without anyone noticing her actions. At the first section of the Zhao family, everyone was busy with their work after breakfast. Zhao Yinduan returned to the room to study. Master Yin left, but he had assigned him many tasks and provided precious documents, enough for him to study before the examination. He needed to cherish every minute to work on what Master Yin had taught him. He had already realized that what Master Yin gave him was not only important for the imperial examination. This knowledge was going to be very useful for his entire life as well, as long as he absorbed it well. What he had learned from Master Yin in this short period was more than what he had studied at school and college in the last 10 years. He had never had this kind of feeling before. He felt that the road ahead was clear, and he had received useful and precious knowledge. Xiao Sanlang and the others had already finished working on the land. So, he and Qi went into the mountains to hunt on this free day. Xiao Xian, Yang Xiaoni, Tao Dao, and Qiuyue were working on the lipsticks in the flower field. The apricot and peach flowers had withered, but Chinese roses continued to bloom. They had a lot to do every day. Xiao Xian was thinking that after a few days, she was going to visit the Zhang village, and when they came back from there, they could start to work on watermelons. She did not want Ms. Fong to be at home alone. So, she asked Li Xia and Li Qiuyue to stay to help Ms. Fong with some housework, like looking after children and watching out for Qiuyue. They could inform her in the flower field if any emergency happened. Ms. Fong felt really fresh in mind. She thought that Qiuyue would not come over anymore. Much to her surprise, not only Qiuyue, but her mother also showed up all of a sudden. Ms. Fong was very pissed. She did not even bother to answer the door and told Li Xia to deal with it. That made everything easier. She was a maid, and all she needed to do was to tell them that her mistress was not at home and that she could not open the door for any guests. She offered an apology for not allowing them inside the house and informed them that she will pass on the message to the family later. NIS. Guan was defeated as well. Qiuyue felt really annoyed. It seemed that anyone coming from her home would be turned down at the door of the first section of the Zhao family. With no way out, she couldn't stay at her mother's home for too long. She headed back the next day, feeling quite nervous. Ms. Fong let out a sigh of relief after hearing that Qiuyue had left the village. But she sensed that something was wrong. What exactly was Qiuyue doing here at her doorstep all these times? Chapter 575, Ms. Niu and second uncle at the second section of the Zhao family. The very night when Xiao Sailang and Ms. Yan signed the contract, he told Ms. Niu and second uncle about working for the Yan family. He would be paid 700 won a month, working from morning to the evening. Lunch was included. The payment would rise, and he would have 3 days off every month. Since he was the son-in-law, they would not be strict about the rules. He could come back to help the family if he was needed. Ms. Niu and second uncle became cheerful. That is such a great piece of news. My son is so capable. Huh. Of course you should take the job. You can start tomorrow and let Ms. Yin keep you company. You're going to work for your father-in-law and your brother-in-law. Work hard and well. Yeah, don't worry about what is happening here at the family. But you can't splurge your wages. You have to give me the payment every month. They had Erlang with them to farm. He could just come and help with the seedling when it was time. They could not ask the first section of the family for help anymore. But they had promised to loan them the bull, which could save them much money and energy. Also, they did not need to owe the first section of the family any labor either. Now onwards, Sailang could make money as well. How wonderful! 700 when every month was already very good, and there would be a potential wage rise in the future as well. Ms. Nyo felt so happy about it. She was dreaming that the money was already in her hands. 701 was a large amount. More importantly, he would be paid every month, and the labor work should not be too exhausting either. Zhao Silang and Ms. Yan were very happy as well. They chatted with each other. Zhao Erling was glad as well, but he felt a little jealous. His own in-laws' family was so horrible, always causing him trouble. He could never get anything out of them. But that was just a feeling he had. When he realized that the payment would need to be given to their mother, he could not help but feel slightly better. This meant that even if his brother turned out to be good, he would live a good life too. Ms. Zhang was different. She felt so irritatedly jealous when she saw how her in-laws were vividly chatting with Zhao Silang and Ms. Yan. She hated listening to the piercing laughter, especially Ms. Yan's, who she believed was showing off in front of her and trying to overpower her. That made her feel even more sour. It was not her fault that her own family was not as good as Ms. Yan's. What was the point of being so proud of it? Her in-laws all spoke highly of Ms. Yan and Zhao Silang. What position would she have at home? Her mother-in-law always looked down at her and even lectured her all the time. After Ms. Yan came to the family, she even shouted at her. "Look at what you have done, and look what Ms. Yan has done for the family." She hated her so much. Ms. Zhang forced a smile when she thought about this. "Mom, how about asking my sister-in-law to ask her father whether they would want to hire my husband as well? In this way, we could get one more portion of payment for the family." The laughter paused. Ms. Yan frowned slightly, but she turned really furious inside. Still, she held her peace and did not say anything. Her in-laws reacted in the same way as she had foreseen. "I think it is a good idea. If that works, we can get more than 1 liang a month. That is a huge amount. Ms. Yan, how about asking your father tomorrow?" Erlang is very diligent as well. Zhao Erlang also looked expectantly at her too. Ms. Yan sighed inwardly. They were going to hire more people in the future, and there would be gossip arising if they refused to hire close relatives. She was not willing to do so, but this seemed to be inevitable. Chapter 576. Business. She would have a bad time if her in-laws knew that her family would rather hire outsiders than Erlang. Ms. Yan smiled. "Dad, Mom, elder brother is our family, and my family would definitely take him into consideration. But we don't need so many people right now, so Silang will be the first one to work for them. If we need any more laborers, we will definitely get elder brother to work with us. But the payment will be a little different though." Ms. Nyo and second uncle found that reasonable too. They said, "It is a deal. Don't forget to tell your father about it. If he needs people to work for him, our Erlang can help too. Payment should not be lower than that for others." Ms. Yan smiled. "Of course, we will pay according to the market." Ms. Nyo and second uncle were pleased. They did not find it strange if the payment was lower than that of Silang's, because Silang was their real son-in-law anyway. But Ms. Zhang felt that Ms. Yan was upset with her, and hence, she was trying to give her a bad time. "Dad, Mom, what about getting my husband to start tomorrow?" Ms. Zhang smiled. "Erlang can take Silang's position, so he will always be taken care of. If Silang takes this opportunity, we are not sure when Erlang will have a chance. Also, the Yin family have 2 daughters-in-law as well. Maybe they will want to get people from their family to take the work as well." NIS. Yin finally turned furious. "What are you talking about? My 2 sisters-in-law are all people from the Yin family. They gave birth to and raised babies for our family, and they respect my parents. Of course, they can get people from their families to work for us. Also, I'm just the daughter of the family. It is already so kind of them to take care of me. This is far better than some families who want their daughter to help them rather than the other way around. If you're so calculative, second sister-in-law, you could talk with your own family rather than aiming for mine. Don't think that you're the only smart one who knows some tricks. Honestly, my father is bad-tempered, and if people try to fool him, he will never hire anyone. Don't think that I will have a say in it." Ms. Zhang's face flushed, and she snapped. "What do you mean? How can you talk with your sister-in-law like this?" Ms. Yan did not care. "I won't do so if you leave me alone." "You, just drop it. Second uncle had almost been persuaded by Ms. Zhang's suggestion, but what Ms. Yan said frightened him. He felt a little lucky to have not catered to Ms. Zhang's thoughts. Otherwise, he would have lost his face as well. The Yin family was not easy to get on well with. Second uncle was only imposing in his behavior with eldest uncle. He did not dare to do anything with anyone outside the family. He knew pretty well that he was nothing in front of outsiders. He dared to confront his brother only because they shared the same bloodline, but he was always nice to people outside the family. He only held a grudge with his own family. Just let Erlang wait until the Yin family needs more people to help. Ms. Yan, you need to remember that we are all part of one family, and Erlang's earnings will influence our life as well. Chapter 577. In the future S. Yin nodded. Will, father. Ms. Zhang sneered quietly. She did not think so. She believed that Ms. Yan was just putting on a show. But under such a circumstance, Ms. Zhang's thoughts were all clogged in her stomach. The Yin family had killed her dreams even before they sprouted. No one from the Yin family could be offended easily. Her in-laws did not dare offend them either. They were just cowards. Her in-laws only dared to show majesty in the family. She herself did not dare offend the Yin family either. The more she thought about this, the more angry she became. Ms. Zhang was so annoyed. When she found Ms. Yan alone, she sneered. Fourth sister-in-law, you keep visiting the first section of the family, but you have gotten nothing good out of them, right? The first section of the family is not helping you to make a fortune either, so you have to turn to your own family for help. Ms. Yan smiled after hearing the sarcastic and sour words. She really wished to tell Ms. Zhang what she was doing right now and how she got her husband a job from her parents' family. Ms. Zhang would surely turn mental if she learned the truth. How wonderful that would be. But Ms. Yan pressed down her impulse and smiled. Second sister-in-law, do you know that we should hope for the best and prepare for the worst? I like visiting the first section of the family because they are so friendly, not because I have a purpose. Also, there are still secrets I can't tell, but you will know about them sooner or later. You will know when it is time. Ms. Yan made up her mind not to reveal a thing until they lived separately. She was not telling anyone that she had one share in the business as well. Also, at least I have my own family to rely on, don't I? Ms. Zhang got so angry. Was it good to have a family to back you up? The business kicked off after the contract was signed, capital was invested, and instructions were brought in. Zhao Xilang started the work the following day. Ms. Yan took him there and handed him over to her father and brothers. Then, she told them some of her own ideas. Zhao Xilang listened to everything she said. Her father and brothers were not cruel people, so as long as Zhao Xilang obeyed their words, there would be no trouble at all. The business kicked off directly. Ms. Niu felt so proud that she went to show off in front of Ms. Fong, telling her that her family would prosper very soon. That was because the Yin family was going to hire both of her sons soon. In this way, they were going to have more than 1 liang a month, as well as a possible salary increase in the future, which would bring them more money. Ms. Fong said okay to express that she had heard what she said. 1 liang a month? How could that be something to be proud of? Her daughter-in-law had already led the whole family to earn thousands of liang in just one deal. But she was not going to reveal that to frighten off Ms. Niu. She was not at all envious. In fact, she wished that the Yin family could help the second section of the family, so they would not focus upon elder uncle for help. Moreover, the second section of the family had to obey the rules when they were under the Yin family's charge. If the second section of the family worked for her, they would definitely act as lazy as possible. Ms. Fong did not ask Ms. Niu anything, which made Ms. Niu believe that Ms. Fong was just jealous. That thought made her really glad. After she left the first section of the family, Ms. Niu went to Ms. Ma and showed off there as well. Chapter 578. Not bold enough a mess. Ma felt really sour in heart, but she chuckled pretentiously and passed on some forced congratulatory words before telling Ms. Niu that her son would become an officer soon. When her son became an officer, he could earn more than 10 liang a month, not just 1 liang. NIS. Niu pursed her lips. So what? Lulang was not yet the officer. But Ms. Niu could not foresee that Lulang would not become an officer, so she dare not make a conclusion now. Flattery did not cost anything, so she said a few to NIS. Ms. Ma felt really motivated. Qiuyue wrote a letter to Zhao and told him about the bean products. It would take at least half a month before the Yin family's bean products business started officially, so there was no need to be in a hurry. When Qiuyue went back to the mansion, old Master Zhao snapped at her and called her useless and stupid. Qiuyue held her breath and did not dare to utter a sound while sitting on her knees. When old Master Zhao was done, he ordered her to tell him everything in detail. She opened her mouth for the first time and spoke vividly. Listening to her words, old Master Zhao felt that it was incredible. How did the first section of the Zhao family happen to turn down Qiuyue at this juncture? They were from the same village. It wasn't that strange that people visited each other. Did you expose yourself? Of course not. I didn't dare to. I did not even tell my family about it. Old Master Zhao was silent. True, Qiuyue would not be bold enough to do anything like that. Moreover, she would not dare lie to him. Now that she was turned down by the first section of the Zhao family, she had no way to finish the plan. So unlucky. How horrible. Anyway, you can leave now. If I ever find out that you lied to me, I don't think that you can afford the consequences. If you did lie to me, confess now. Old Master, I would never dare lie to you. Old Master Zhao flung his sleeves and said, just leave now. Qiuyue felt so weak that she retired in panic. Old Master Zhao was walking back and forth in the study, getting more and more furious. He was not going to let this thing go away like this. Never. Old Madame Zhao sneered as she heard what happened and how angry old Master Zhao became. Old Master Zhao, you were so confused in your head that you asked the bitch to carry out the plan. She is so dumb. It's not strange that she ruined the whole thing. If this method doesn't work, then you can use other methods. As long as they fail to keep the fields, they will have to sell them to you, right? Old Master Zhao felt motivated again and smiled. You are right, good point. Old Master Zhao and the housekeeper made another plan. Housekeeper sent someone to look around at the Zhang village and eventually bribed 2 tenants. The plan was that they would poison the 6 bulls. Moreover, they would ruin the seeds given to each tenant. After that was done, they were going to be awarded 20 liang each, and the fields would be rented to them at a low price. The 2 tenants were not very sincere people. Hearing the profits, they agreed despite the potential risk. The tenants were living in a very bad condition, and they visited each other often. So, the limited space made it possible for them to learn where the seeds were kept, which made it very easy for them to ruin the entire pack. Some boiled water into the bags, and the seeds would either get cooked directly or develop yeast and get ruined, impossible to be planted anymore. Chapter 579. Being possessed by the time it would be discovered before the planting, it would be too late. There is a large amount of seeds prepared for more than 300 mu fields, and it was not very easy to make up for the loss. If the Zhao family managed to successfully implement the trick and ruin the fields with the bad seeds, the whole plan for spring plow would be ruined. But Qiuyue had a habit of walking around and checking things, so he happened to catch the 2 tenants. That was such a huge crime they were committing. Qiuyue directly sent his men to fetch Zhao Yunduan and Xiao Xian. Hearing the shocking news, Xiao Xian and Zhao Yunduan came to the Zhang village directly. The 2 tenants could not be kept anymore. They had committed a big blunder, and Xiao Xian and Zhao Yunduan would reclaim the fields from the tenants. It was already kind enough for the couple not to send them to the governmental office. Spring plow was not only important for all households, but also a very important affair for the court. All civilians needed to eat, and a good production was what a country needed to ensure. There would be chaos and rebellion if civilians could not be fed. So, seeds and bulls were very important things. It was forbidden to kill bulls meant for plowing, even though the bulls were raised by the family themselves. Else, they would be fined and cast into prison. Same was true about the seeds. Anyone who intentionally ruined the seeds would be considered to have committed the same crime. But the tenants' family were not aware of this. They cried and begged forgiveness. Xiao Xian asked Lin Mian's family to help them out. She could not bear to see the scene, but her mind would not change because of this. Their family might be innocent, but that did not matter right now. Zhao Yunduan and Xiao Xian would not keep them since they committed such a crime. They needed to set an example for the rest to build their reputation. Zhao Yunduan did not have much time for this, since he needed to work on his exam preparation. When the family members were taken out, Zhao Yunduan and Xiao Xian let the tenants stay. Ding Erzhu was asked to remain and watch as well. Who told you to do so? Ding Erzhu was startled when he heard Zhao Yunduan's question. He had not thought about this. He had assumed that it was just an offhand mischief. The two tenants were frightened as well. They lowered their heads and remained silent. Zhao Yunduan brought out 2 notes of 10 liang each. Tell us the truth, and you will get 20 liang each and be allowed to leave the county with your family. Otherwise, you get nothing. You failed in implementing the plan. Do you think that the person behind would give you what they promised you? Xiao Xian added, we more or less understand who is behind this, but we just need confirmation. You don't have to tell if you don't want to. The two tenants got swayed and committed the crime, but they got caught. They were so distressed by this. So, they could not stand it anymore, hearing what Xiao Xian and Zhao Yunduan said. What they did would spread out soon, and they would not be able to be hired by anyone. So, leaving the county was probably the only way out. They could leave with or without the 20 liang. That depended on them. One of them said, housekeeper of the Zhao family came to me. They promised us 20 liang and low rent for their fields. Same here. The housekeeper was not worried that what they did would be exposed one day. Xiao Xian was just a concubine's daughter whom Officer Qiuyue and Madame Qiuyue never cared about. The Zhao family were just a countryside family whom the Zhao family did not need to worry about either. Chapter 580. Confusion. Even if they were exposed, the Zhao family could easily squash down the rumor. They would not be even able to take revenge. Also, if the Zhao family did not admit to it, and the two tenants could not show any evidence, they could even say that they were set up. The tenants would just do their work, knowing who hired them. That was why the housekeeper did not hide his real identity. Xiao Xian and Zhao Yunduan exchanged a look between themselves. They had no doubt about the tenants' words. All right, you could take the money and leave. Zhao Yunduan gave them the money, as he had promised. The two of them felt so guilty, but they could not turn down the money given to them. They kowtowed to the couple 3 times sincerely, took the money, and hurried away. They were worried that the Zhao family would come to the door and give them a hard time, so they had to leave as early as possible. Ding Qiuyue, and now the bought-out tenants. Why has the Zhao family become so frenzied? We have never offended them before, have we? Xiao Xian just could not figure it out. Zhao Yunduan smiled and said, I am not sure, but there is definitely a reason. We just don't know when we have offended them. Xiao Xian agreed. In this case, this must have happened recently. The Zhao family did not care about them. Just look at how the housekeeper exposed his identity to the tenants. So, if the offense was done a long while ago, the revenge would have already been extracted by this point. This meant that it was a recent event. But what did they do in the near past? Zhao Yunduan thought for a while and said slowly, we have bought dozens of mu of fields recently. Xiao Xian added, true. The land agent wasn't normal the other day when he tried to sell the fields to us urgently. There may be a story behind it. Zhao Yunduan said, let's go and talk to him. Uni. They stressed to Ding Erzhu to pay more attention to the fields and asked Ms.Yan to help with the patrol before heading to find a land agent. The land agent was dumbfounded when he heard what had happened. He had not expected that old Master Zhao would be so narrow-minded. Those were just some fields. Old Master Zhao offered such terribly low prices, and the seller refused to sell them to Old Master Zhao. What could a land agent say about it? It was his job to find a suitable buyer, wasn't it? Old Master Zhao and the 2 young masters were not nice people, which was known to the land agent. But they should not have been so over the top. The land agent sighed and recounted the whole story. Zhao Yunduan and Xiao Xian exchanged a look between themselves. Okay, the riddle was finally solved. All this must be because of the fields. Old Master Zhao wanted to possess them, so he was very annoyed that the seller gave them to the couple. He did not think that the couple were strong enough to confront him. Thus he came up with all these ideas. This was very common. People believed that they were better than others, so they never cared about anyone else. That must be why Qiuyue tried to step into the Zhao family's home. She must have been up to no good, either. The land agent apologized constantly, but the couple could not say that it was all right. They just waved him goodbye and left. If they had known that old Master Zhao wanted to buy the fields, they would have not thought about buying them. What they wanted least was to get themselves in trouble. Moreover, the Zhao family was in a good relationship with the county magistrate's family. Now that the trouble was already at their doorstep, they weren't really afraid of it. Let them come. Chapter 581. Bending at the door. The worst result would be that the quantum of their properties was exposed to the Qiuyue family. If that time came, they would have to turn to the province for help. Darling, do you think that we should wait to see what more the Zhao family would do to us? Or should we do something proactively? Qiuyue asked. Zhao Yunwan thought of how his mother, wife, and sister-in-law went to the Ding family and asked Ding Qiuyue what was going on. He smiled. Let's go to the Zhao family and ask what on earth do they want. The Zhao family was such a wealthy family. Why did they want to hold onto the dozens of mu of fields? They were going to ask about their intentions. Qiuyue nodded readily. Elle thinks so too. The two of them grinned at each other. Hearing that the couple was at the doorstep, old Master Zhao smiled. Elle knew it. See? They are here to bend their knees in front of me. I knew that they would not be able to confront us. Madame Zhao was in a good mood too. You were right, old Master Zhao. Should we get them in now? Bring them in. Old Master Zhao did not want to meet them initially, but he was very curious about what the couple looked like. So, he let them in. Unexpectedly, Qiuyue and Zhao Yunwan were not here to bend their knees. They were here to interrogate him. Old Master Zhao was so annoyed by their questioning of him. How dare they ask him why old Master Zhao wants to get those fields when you already have so many of your own? When the couple left, old Master Zhao got so annoyed that he smashed the cups in front of him. Madame Zhao was annoyed too. Old Master Zhao, what do they mean? Just drop it. Old Master Zhao said sinisterly, they are right. I am making the Zhao family into a joke when one linger over some dozens of fields. Let's see who will laugh to the end. This was not something that should be done on the surface, and it had to be finished very fast. But it seemed not possible at this moment. Old Master Zhao had not yet found another plan when Jingrong and Yuezhing Xiao came to the village for a visit. They were both shocked by the newly built house of the Zhao family, especially the glazed windows, which must have cost a lot. But Zhao Yunwan and Qiuyue were able to afford the decorations anyway. Their house was big enough to give Jingrong and Yuezhing Xiao as well as their servants enough space to stay overnight this time. Jingrong was relatively introverted. He was just curious, but Yuezhing Xiao was different. He was an open and easygoing person, and after spending so much time with Qiuyue and Zhao Yunwan, who saved his father's life, he had already regarded them as his own family. So, he wandered curiously all around the place. Their house was not exquisite or shining, but it was convenient and spacious, giving a concise yet comfortable feeling, making people feel relaxed. People could easily sense that it was a very leisurely place to live in. Yuezhing Xiao felt a little envious. Actually, they reached the gardens on the backside. Qiuyue did not hide anything from them and opened the door for them to have a look. The view was shocking. They had so many things, including shiitake mushrooms, fungus, white fungus, Gastrodia alata, heterophylla, tea tree, figs, bergamot, lemons, peaches, plums, loquats, and other fruits, some of which they could or could not recognize. There was also a plot which was ready for planting watermelons. Yuezhing Xiao and Jingrong were totally dumbfounded. Chapter 582. Good things, you have got so many wonderful things. Yuezhing Xiao sighed emotionally. No wonder you have such a high enclosing wall. People would be jealous simply by seeing you have so many good things here. They all laughed. That is exactly what I was thinking. What a wonderful place. There is a spring pool here too. Qiuyue smiled and felt really proud inwardly. The water was the source of life, and with this spring watering the land, those plants were growing vividly. This flourishing scene made people feel happy. Who would have predicted that 1 year ago, This was a deserted land. People from the village would feel so jealous to see this now. The couple showed them around. They had no ripe fruits in this season of the year. Even the loquats were not ripe enough. So all they could do was just look at it. The fruits had better quality compared to that from outside, due to the usage of her superpower. Zhao smiled when saw the Gastrodia elata and Heterophila. I'll remember that Manager Qin took hold of some wonderful Gastrodia elata last year. He got that from you, didn't he? Unfortunately, I was one step late at the time. Qiuyue nodded and smiled. Manager Qin has booked all of these, so I'm sorry. But if you want, I can give you around 5 kilograms as a gift. They would save some for soup braising too. Zhao did not turn her down and said, "Oh yes, can you plant more snow fungus? Yours is of great quality, and they can be sold at a high price when transported to the capital. You should plant more of them. All of these were going to make the money." Then he paused and added, "Oh yes, the mushrooms and wooden ears are of great quality too. Bergamots look great as well. Anyway, if you need to sell anything in the future, get someone to tell me, so I can sell them all for you." Zhao was shocked by what the Zhao family had produced. These things were very well taken care of and could be sold at a really good price in the market. No one would miss such a deal, either in private or public. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were very willing to do so. So they agreed on it directly. They walked around in the house, and Xiao Yunduan kept them company for some more time, whilst Xiao Xian went to make lunch. The preparations of the dishes were all done, as the pot was cleaned. All Xiao Xian needed to do was to roll up her sleeves and start to walk them together. They had a plethora of dishes for the guests on this day. These included stir-fried smoked meat with fresh spring bamboo shoots, braised chicken nuggets with onion and ginger, stir-fried eel segments, miscellaneous fish, and sauerkraut pot. The Yin family sent a lot of fresh tender tofu and tofu cream skin this morning, just in time to make another tender tofu minced meat and cold-stirred tofu cream skin. There were a few cold dishes too, including cold salad with shredded bamboo shoots and bracken, cold preserved egg tofu, cold wolfberry sprouts, plus a crucian carp, scallop, and dried shrimp soup, in which a few pieces of bacon had been added to enhance the taste. But they had no yubas and dried tofu and puffs. She wondered if the Yin family had them. She would ask the fourth cousin-in-law to see if she could bring some for the two guests to have a taste. Chapter 583. One special portion with an outline in his heart. Zhao would be able to make a final decision about the business deal. The Yin family had been busy building workshops, booking tools, and trying new products. They should have spare ones available. On the table, Zhao and Qiuyue were very surprised when they ate the cold-stirred yubas. They had eaten all kinds of delicious things, and they always had some impression of what they had tasted. But whenever they were offered food at the Zhao family, they would look forward to seeing something new. After all, they could always eat something different at the Zhao family each time they were here. This time, too, they realized that they had never eaten yubas before. Yubas had a taste of bean and a tender texture. They wondered how yubas were made. Zhao was about to ask when Xiao Yunduan smiled. They are made of beans, the same as tofu. We could talk about this after lunch. We have other similar ones. When Zhao heard that this business would become his as well, he nodded with a smile. Okay, we will talk about it later. I have some surprisingly good news to share with you as well. It was a lively and fun meal, and after lunch, they gathered again in the hall where Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian were living. Xie Jingrong knew that they were going to talk about business, so he went back to his guest room to take a break. Zhao became really interested in the bean products Xiao Xian talked about. Tofu was a popular and common thing, cheap and delicious, always well received among civilians. The Zhang family had never run any tofu business, but they had never stopped eating dishes with tofu. The servants would always eat dishes with tofu as well. But what Xiao Xian told them was different. These bean products could be kept for a long time. Yubas and cream skin, when dried, could be preserved for months. Puffs as well as dried tofu could be stored for a few days as well, which would make selling them much easier. More importantly, no one had done such business before. As long as they were the only ones, they could earn a lot of money. As long as the bean products were seen in the market, many tofu makers would try to find out a way to produce something new. but they would not be able to figure it out so fast. So there was a chance for Yuezhing Xiao to take over the market first. He had not eaten yubas or dried tofu, but the stirred cream of skin had already surprised him and made him happy. Xiao Xian said that tofu cream skin could be stirred and fried with almost all vegetables and meat. They could be the wrap for different fillings to fry and cook, or boiled in hot water with or without spices. They were great ingredients for all kinds of dishes. The best thing was that they could be sold at a very low price. Therefore, once launched in the market, the products were going to be really popular. Yuezhing Xiao was very glad. He always received wonderful news whenever he was here. I got some good news for you, too. I'm not going to save it for tomorrow. I have held it in for too long. Brother Xiao and sister-in-law, the tea bricks worked. Thank you so much for helping us out, sister-in-law. The Yuezhing family's most important business was the tea leaves transported to the northwest. Now that the tea bricks were so well made, the Yuezhing family's business would flourish from the foundation up. The instruction Xiao Xian gave to them in making tea bricks surprised all the masters, who were all experts and could tell whether the instructions were reliable with just one glimpse. They had tried making it according to the instructions. There were some bumps in the process initially, but the direction and key points were all on the track, solving all the minor issues. Chapter 584. Tea bricks. The tea bricks made according to this new process were not only firmer, more durable to store, but also better preserved the tea aroma and tea taste. Even when it was raining, it did not damage or affect the drinking experience or the quality of tea smell or the tea itself. These were the best tea bricks that had ever been made. The masters claimed that the Yuezhing family had the best tea bricks for the whole country. There was no comparison between them and their competitors. Yuezhing Hong and Old Master were both really glad. They started to process the tea bricks and got ready to have the tea transported northwards. The Yuezhing family's tea business would flourish even more with these tea bricks around. They were going to leap over more than 3 floors with this improvement. Yuezhing Xiao's eyes were sparkling as he narrated the whole story. He could not restrain his excitement and kept thanking the couple for what they had done for them. Xiao Xian was very glad because she could not possibly bring up her tea business alone, as there were fixed clients for tea leaves who only bought the product from people they were familiar with. Especially when you knew how excellent your products were, but no one else did, it was very difficult to enter into the market, since you could not even put in money to advertise your products. In all probability, before they were able to make it, they would be ruined by competitors. Looking at the incident involving the fields of the Zhang village, the Zhao family were already trying to take revenge on them. Also, even with instructions in her hand, she needed people with skillful technicians who could build up the whole thing, which was not easy. Also, where would she find those people? Such talents must have written years of contract with the masters, or the master's sons, so they were not to be acquired so easily. For the Yuezhang family, whose main business was tea, it was so easy to get the whole infrastructure without any headache. All she needed to do was to offer the instruction manual, which was useless for her, but priceless for the Yuezhing family. Xiao Xian did not think that it was a loss to have revealed it. Now she knew that there was a good way to sell her tea leaves, not to forget the golden sprouts and lavender. Yuezhing Xiao took out a box of brocade and asked Xu Shan to fetch a long case. This is what you deserve. Please don't think that it is too little. Anyway, if you need any help, just say it. I am not saying this out of politeness. Your timely help has saved our business, honestly. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan exchanged a look with each other. Yuezhing Xiao was speaking for the whole Yuezhing family, who were grateful to them. So, they accepted the presents. Brother Yuezhing, you are so nice. We will accept the presents. Also, there is one thing we would like Brother Yuezhing to help us with, said Xiao Yunduan politely. Yuezhing Xiao asked him immediately. What is it? Please tell me, Brother Xiao. He was so eager to help them. This meant that Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian regarded him as their best friend. Xiao Yunduan smiled and narrated the incident about them with old Master Zhao. Then he said, Elle and my wife think that this issue should be dealt with directly and sharply. So, Brother Yuezhing, could you please announce that the tea mountain and fields are your properties? Chapter 585. unpredictable old master Zhao was so stingy. Just because the seller did not want to give away the field cheaply, he decided to take revenge on those who bought the field. Although he did not dare do anything more, the problem was not solved fundamentally. It would be so annoying to confront tricky people again and again. One would never know what was coming next. If Yuezhing Shao stepped forward, things would be different. For one thing, if Yuezhing Shao could announce that he had the fields and the Team Mountain, at least old Master Zhao would not dare do anything about it. More importantly, Xiao Yunwan was going to take the examination soon, and there should be no accident happening at that time. Since old Master Zhao had learned about the fields, then the Tea Mountains as well as the creeping fig fields would be exposed too. Maybe Qiao Wei and Madame Qiao would learn about them soon. Especially those trees. If someone with knowledge noticed that they were golden sprouts and lavender, everything would turn into chaos. Most importantly, Madame Qiao would get really furious as well. Yuezhing Shao looked really annoyed and said disdainfully, "How immoral. Shame on him." "You're right, Brother Shao, sister-in-law. Such people always do whatever they want, and we never know what they will come up with next. Brother Shao, you're soon going to take the examination, and you need to focus on your studies. If you're bothered by these things, it would be detrimental." That was what Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian believed too. They said, "Thank you so much, Brother Yuezhing." Yuezhing Shao laughed. "No worries. This is nothing. You should be careful and just send people to the province to ask me for help. If you need anything." That made Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan feel assured. They thanked him again with a smile. After a few more words, Yuezhing Shao got up and left. After he left, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian looked at each other and started opening the two gift boxes. They contained a contract of a house as well as details of profits in the smaller box. The contract for the house was for a place located in the province, which included a very nice garden property of 7 mu. The location was in a very affluent place with convenient traffic and easy access to shopping. It had a really nice scene with a large lake next to it. This house is big and located in such a great place. It must have cost thousands of liang. They are so generous. Apart from the house, the profit share given to them was 10%. The Yuezhing family had a large business, and 10% was too much. By this calculation, they would easily earn around 10,000 liang. If the tea bricks were of great quality and easy to preserve, the sales would rise too, and 20,000 to 30,000 liang a year for 10% of profits should be possible to reach. So, if Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunwan did nothing for the rest of their lives, they would still have so much to live on. The house in the province and the profits, it was really too much. Xiao Yunduan sighed emotionally. The Yuezhing family is very generous. They have offered so much. He smiled at Xiao Xian. "Actually, it is all because of you, darling." Xiao Xian secretly felt proud. She blinked and smiled and said modestly, "I wasn't sure how much one could help, but the masters from the Yuezhing family are very experienced, so they made it happen well." She could tell that Xiao Yunduan was genuinely praising her, and that made her very happy. Chapter 586. Day by day, it was difficult to find someone who would not trap her in the backyard and support her in her career and even speak highly of her. She was so lucky. Xiao Yunduan asked Xiao Xian to put away the papers carefully. Xiao Xian put them into her space to keep it safe. In the other box, there were dozens of jewels and 5 or 6 pieces of jade. The jewelry included a pair of jade bracelets, several hairpins inlaid with gemstones and pearls, 2 pairs of gold hairpins, and 2 pairs of gemstone earrings. It would not be too eye-catching when she wore it. Xiao Xian liked them and did not put them away until she played with them for a while. Xiao Yunduan said in a low voice, "I will buy you some when I start getting my salary as an officer, okay?" Xiao Xian laughed. "Okay, I will wait for your gifts." Xiao Yunduan smiled. "Yes, just wait for me." By that time, he would accompany her back to the Qiao mansion together in glory. The next day, Yuezhing Shao chose to head to the Zhao family with Chushan. Xie Jingrong remained at the Shao family. Xiao Xian, together with Qi and Qiuyue, planted the flowers and trees that Yuezhing Shao had taken from his mother. The flowers included hydrangea, tuberose, hosta, crepe myrtle, hibiscus, chrysanthemum, osmanthus, and acacia. They had a lot of space spared for the plants, but soon the space was filled up. After a few months, the house would be filled with blooming flowers, with fragrance over the place. Right after, they went to fish in the river. Qiuyue had never seen such a scene before. He joined them for fun as well. They planned to have a visit in the mountains and hunt some animals. They did not need to make the lipsticks since the flowers were not yet in full bloom. So, there were not too many things to do during this time. The two guests had not noticed the flower fields, and Qiuyue did not mention the topic either. She did not want to show them this. Flowers were not that interesting to see. Also, she did not want to tell anyone about how to make the lipsticks. She trusted Zhao and Qiuyue, but not the servants. They might not be up to anything bad or reveal any secrets deliberately, but they might spill it unintentionally. Qiuyue wanted to keep the making of lipsticks a secret for as long as possible. When old Master Zhao heard that young Master Qiuyue was here for a visit, he thought that he had misheard his servant. What? But it did seem that young Master Qiuyue would be here soon as per the message sent. Old Master Zhao sprang up quickly and said, "Go and fetch young Master over. Housekeeper, come and greet young Master Qiuyue with me." The Qiuyue family had gained a good reputation in the county, and everyone knew them. The Zhao family was a leader in the county, but compared to the Qiuyue family, they were nothing, not at the same level. Now that young Master Qiuyue was here personally, it made old Master Zhao so glad. Chapter 587. Shocked maybe the Qiuyue family was trying to do some business in the county and heard of their name, so they wanted to involve him as well. If he could get involved with the Qiuyue family, then his business would bloom. This was such a great opportunity. Old Master Zhao greeted Qiuyue and showed him in. Qiuyue exchanged a few words with Old Master Zhao patiently, and then stated his purpose. "Oh yes, you know about the Zhang village, right? One heard from the Zhao family, who are in charge of my fields and tea fields, that you are very interested in my fields. Is that true?" Qiuyue did not want to say that the person in charge was Brother Zhao, and instead called it the Zhao family. Old Master Zhao was shocked. The question was too sudden, just like Qiuyue's visit, which did not get through to Old Master Zhao even after quite some time. But when he brought himself back, he could not even utter a word. "What? So, you're the owner of the fields?" Old Master Zhao was shocked and suddenly understood what was happening. No wonder. He knew that a disgraced daughter of a concubine could not possibly have a large amount of dowry, and the Zhao family was a poor peasant family who could not buy those fields. Making a fortune was not so easy. Everything made sense when the properties belonged to young Master Qiuyue. But as he thought about what he had done to get the properties, Old Master Zhao could not help but feel uncomfortable. Old Master Zhao forced a smile. "That was a misunderstanding, young Master Qiuyue. I did not know that the fields were yours. If one had known that, the Zhao family did not reveal a thing, so I just want to know what they meant by not telling me anything. Don't worry, young Master Qiuyue, since I know that those fields are yours. I won't cause any trouble. Don't worry." Qiuyue was not worried, and he simply looked at Old Master Zhao. This old man bullied the weak and feared the strong. He was not going to make it further in his life. He said all of these as if he had done nothing wrong. If he knew how much the Zhao family had for real, and if Brother Zhao became successful in the future, what would this man do? Qiuyue did not stay on any longer after he made it clear. "Good that you are aware of this, Old Master Zhao. I'm not worried anymore. Also, don't tell anyone else about this, thanks." Of course. Don't worry, young Master Qiuyue. Thanks. I'm leaving now, goodbye." Old Master Zhao was disappointed and tried his best to keep him. "Young Master Zhao, just stay for lunch. We don't have much expensive food here, but we have a few mountain goods, which are very interesting." "No need, thanks. Next time I will do so." Old Master Zhao did not dare to keep him and forced a smile. Okay. Please, if you come to us next time, we will receive you well, young Master Qiuyue." Old Master Zhao's elder son, Zhao Guangyin, hurried back from the store soon after Qiuyue left. He missed the special guest and noticed that his father was not in the right state. He asked the reason for it in a concerned voice. Chapter 588. Zhao Ming's eavesdropping. Old Master Zhao sighed and narrated the whole unlucky thing to his son. Zhao Guangyin was startled as well and lamented. Dad, what was the point in doing this? If I had known about this earlier, one would have stopped you. We have so many fields. Why are we obsessed with such small things? Old Master Zhao did not tell his son the whole truth. The reason why Old Master Zhao failed to get hold of the field originally was because he had tried to make profits out of it. Zhao Guangyin would have surely blamed him for what he had done if he got to know the whole story. Zhao Guangyin was the only clear-minded person in the whole family, but he had too many incapable partners, and he was too busy to care about what his family was doing. In other words, he had not expected that his family would be so unreliable. Old Master Zhao sneered. I'll need my reputation, and that poor family was bullying me. Father, Zhao Guangyin said honestly, they aren't a poor family when they dare to bully you. Old Master Zhao glared at him. Zhao Guangyin tried to explain it again. You need to think about the series of events and feel lucky. Those properties belong to young Master Qiuyue in the province. Luckily, he is not someone who likes to take revenge, otherwise we would be in big trouble. Old Master Zhao finally snapped. Shut it. You are lecturing me? You rebellious kid. Zhao Guangyin sighed. 1 a.m. not lecturing you. I'm just telling you, Father. That is enough. You can mind your own business now. Old Master Zhao got so furious and felt humiliated. Zhao Guangyin looked at him. Okay, take care of yourself, Father. He did not want to tear his father's fig leaf anymore, so he turned around and Old Master Zhao felt so annoyed. What an unlucky day, he muttered in a low voice and returned to his study. But what Old Master Zhao and Zhao Guangyin had not expected was that Zhao Ming and her maid already eavesdropped on the whole story. Zhao Ming had been listening since Old Master Zhao started the conversation. Zhao Ming left when Zhao Guangyin started to lecture their father, fearing that her presence would cause embarrassment. The cultivated talent from the Zhao family? The concubine's daughter from county magistrate? That is Qiuyue, isn't it? How did they befriend young Master Qiuyue from the province? Zhao Ming snorted and turned to her maid. What do you think Elder Miss Qiao will do when she learns about this? Zhang sneered too. I'm not sure, but what I know is that Elder Miss Qiao doesn't like her sisters, and if Second Miss learns about this, she will definitely try to get closer to you and owe you a big favor. Zhao Ming's eyes brightened, and she chuckled. She heard that Xiao Xian and the cultivated talent of the Zhao family bullied her father, but her father did not dare do anything back. If she told Elder Miss Xiao about this, then she would be included in the process if they wanted to do something to that girl, right? Yuezhing Xiao preferred to eat at the Zhao family compared to eating at the Zhao family. Xiao Xian was very good at cooking, and her dishes were made beautifully. Even simple ingredients could lead to excellent results. So, he hurried back to the Zhao family after he left the Zhao family. He wanted to have lunch at the Zhao family. Chapter 589. Ms. Zhang's speech. When Yuezhing Xiao returned to the village, the first section of the Zhao family were busy making lunch. They had caught a lot of fish and shrimps from the river, and the seafood porridge was being cooked. They specially selected fresh prawns, removed the prawn lines, added eel segments, and marinated thinly sliced fish fillets. When the porridge was almost cooked, they put all these fresh fish into the porridge. The rice porridge was put to boil again. After a while, they added a small amount of homemade soybean paste, stir-fried crushed peanuts, added chopped green onion and coriander, and then put in a small amount of salt. The delicious seafood porridge was ready. The fish fillets were tender and smooth, and the shrimp and eel segments were mouth-watering. The surface was wrapped in a layer of rice porridge with a fragrant smell of rice. The porridge made with fresh ingredients was so appealing. They did not steam rice for lunch. Instead, a basket of steam buns with diced smoked meat, diced bamboo shoots, and diced mushrooms as fillings was prepared. They had a good harvest on this day. While cooking porridge, they picked a dot of finger-sized small fish, raw de-deaded in egg batter, and deep-fried it. Everything was freshly cooked and crispy. They added a bowl of kimchi, a few sliced salted duck eggs, and a bowl of fried chili sauce with dried radish and river shrimp. Although it was homely, it was delicious. Qiuyue understood that Ms. Yan had been eating a lot at her own home and liked fish, so she picked 2 crucian carps for her to eat, and even asked if the third section of the family wanted to have it. The other sections of the family learned that the first section of the family was ignoring them, thanks to the guest and the busy spring day, and Xiao Lulang was absent too, while Silang was working for the Yin family, so they did not pester the first section of the family again. Xiao Miling was already engaged, and Ms. Neo could not possibly let her join them. Xiao Xiaoji was too timid to show up, even though Ms. Ma asked her to. Ms. Ma's face sank when she saw the fish delivered by Qiao Xian and Tao Tao. This thing was not tasty at all. Ms. Ma did not like it, but it was a free gift that could be used to feed the chicken. So, she accepted it anyway. Tao Tao pursed her lips, complaining in a small voice. What is wrong with the third aunt-in-law? She always looks as if we owe her everything. Xiao Xian smiled. Isn't that what she's always like? NIS. Yin was very glad to accept the gift happily. She saw how Qiao Xian cooked the fish. What it needed was to figure out how much oil, salt, ginger, scallions, and sauce to be added, so that the smell could be removed. Then it was fried in the hot oil with garlic and pepper, simple, yet delicious. Now that she was a great hero in the family, Ms. Nyo might utter a few words in distress, yet she did not dare to comment on how much oil she used to cook the fish. She could just ignore the nagging. Qiao Xian would not invite Ms. Yan over for lunch since they had male guests at home. It was not proper at all. Ms. Yan processed the 2 fishes cheerfully, but was seen by Ms. Zhang, who fanned away the smell and said, "You are in a good relationship with the first section of the family, but look at what trash they have sent you. You won't be able to eat this thing, will you?" She added, "But then, aren't you always a good friend with your 5th sister-in-law? Why were you not invited to have lunch with them when they have a guest over and instead gave you such a terrible piece of trash? They don't like me, but they like you, right?" Ms. Yan frowned. Ms. Zhang was getting more and more ridiculous in her behavior when no one was around. Chapter 590. Cooking fish in most days, she either ignored her or countered her. Any other normal person would have been pissed off by Ms. Zhang. Ms. Yan washed the fish and smiled briefly. Second sister-in-law. The guests at uncle and aunt's home are men. I, as a woman, need to avoid being with them. I can't just show myself at the doorstep. Canel, you dislike the fish, but I don't. You should not eat it when one cook it for lunch, understand? Ms. Zhang sneered. I won't like it. Ms. Yan ignored her. She went into the kitchen and recalled the way Qiao Xian had made fish and followed suit. She put oil into the pan, and when it smoked, she put the fish with sliced ginger in it. Then came the sizzling sound. Ms. Nyo was picking vegetables in the garden, but she smelled something really delicious yet strange. She was drooling and could not help but wonder if it was the first section of the family who had some food delivered here. She rushed into the kitchen. Much to her surprise, it was Ms. Yan who was cooking. The fish in the pot was laden with garlic sprouts and chili peppers. It was oily and steaming in the gurgling thick soup. It smelled and looked delicious. But Ms. Nyo felt very concerned. Oh, Ms. Yan, you have used so much oil. We can't just ruin the ingredients. Ms. Yan did not panic when she faced Ms. Nai's cry. She smiled. Mom, it doesn't happen often, and not much oil has been used. Also, we can afford this much splurge once in a while. I did this so that it tastes well. Let's just give it a try. Ms. Nyo was reminded of the situation. Her both sons had wives, and one of her daughters was already married off. Her younger son was walking for the Yin family, bringing 700 won a month, and her elder son should be there soon. So, she felt much more confident and generous. She felt that a good dream was coming soon. But when she thought of how the Yin family made this happen and that she could not offend the Yin family, she calmed down. She forced a wide smile and said, Okay, just once. This is akin to ruining things. We need money for many things. Ms. Yan smiled. Sure, Mom. She would bother about next time when that time came. Ms. Yan did not care about her mother-in-law's words. The fish was big, and Ms. Yan fried one, but saved another for deeper cooking at night when her husband returned at night. She hid under a big bowl. They had 2 other dishes to go with it, and that was enough for lunch. The fish was very well cooked, and Ms. Neo, as well as second uncle, both spoke highly of it. Second uncle said in distress, "No wonder the first section of the family fishes in the river all the time. It tastes so good." Ms. Neo found it delicious too, but she was still distressed by how much oil was used. It costs too much to make it. Of course it tastes good. It has so many condiments in it. The first section of the family, the first section had Qiuyue's dowry that made them afford everything. They had nothing. Ms. Yan smiled. "Mom, it is okay if we cook like this 3 or 4 times a month, right? We have fish in the river, and we can get them for free. The cost will only be of the oil and soy sauce, which costs far less than meat. Also, it tastes as good as other meat. Right, second sister-in-law?" Ms. Zhang stiffened and became really annoyed. Chapter 591. Annoying. When Ms. Yan was processing the fish, Ms. Zhang made disdainful comments. She kept saying that she would not eat it, but in the end, she ate most of the fish. Ms. Yan did not stop her from touching it, but she wanted to stimulate her. Ms. Zhang could tell that she was being sarcastic. She snorted and said nothing, and suddenly felt that the fish was not that delicious anymore. Ms. Neo rolled at Ms. Zhang. What does she know? She only knows how to eat. Ms. Zhang felt even more annoyed, and her hands holding the chopsticks shook visibly. Ms. Yan smiled and felt quite cheerful in heart. Second uncle said, "Ms. Yan is right. We have fish in the river, and it costs nothing to catch it. All that costs is the oil, which in the end is still lower than meat. We can eat it a few times every month." Ms. Neo thought for a while and responded, "True. We can ask the first section of the family to give us some fish when we need it." Second uncle nodded in agreement. Ms. Yan was speechless. She would have snapped at these people if they were not her in-laws. "Damn, Mom. There are many fish in the river. Silang, and I can fetch some from the river. The first section of the family has some tools which we can borrow." Ms. Zhang sneered coldly. "Fourth sister-in-law, aren't you their good friend? Can't they just spare you some free fish? Otherwise, I don't think that you need to visit them anymore." Before Ms. Neo could say anything, Ms. Yan replied, "You are wrong, second sister-in-law. We live separately and can't just take other people's things for our own use all the time. If they come to our home and pick our stuff, will you be happy to accept it? I will not. Also, fish are in the river, and we can learn to catch the fish from them, so we can get it ourselves. Why do you always say things like this?" They were just making themselves look more annoying in front of the first section of the family. Ms. Neo, she felt that she was also being referred to in the speech, but she had no evidence for that. Ms. Zhang had no proof either, but she wanted to cause some trouble, so she asked, "Fourth sister-in-law, your words are way over the top. How dare you say this to Niam? When did I refer to Mom?" "Second sister-in-law, please clarify." Ms. Yan plunked the chopsticks and stared at Ms. Zhang with a sunken face. Ms. Zhang was speechless. It had been a veiled comment and could not be proved clearly. She could not say that Ms. Neo liked taking advantage of people who were in front of her. If she said so, Ms. Neo would definitely teach her a lesson. Ms. Zhang said casually, "You don't agree with Mom's suggestion of asking for fish from the first section of the family." Ms. Yan responded cleverly, "Oh, don't. What is wrong with it? Silang and I can both get the fish home ourselves. Why turn to someone else?" Ms. Zhang. Ms. Yan sneered. "Second sister-in-law, don't try to start an in-fight. Think before you speak." Ms. Neo felt that she had thought too much about Ms. Yan's words after hearing what Ms. Zhang said. So, she admonished Ms. Zhang, "Just stop it, you fool." Ms. Zhang got so furious that she almost left the table. Everyone was against her and looking down at her. Even Ms. Yan, a younger sister-in-law, dared to confront her. Ms. Yan also dropped the topic of getting fish from the first section of the family when her in-laws said nothing more about it. Chapter 592. Attracted a mess. Yan simply assumed that her in-laws agreed with what she said. She felt so stressed living with them. If they could live separately, that would be great, even if it meant that she and her husband must support the parents. At the first section of the family, everyone was eating lunch in a cheerful atmosphere. Zhao suddenly patted his forehead, exclaiming that he had forgotten something. He asked Chushan and the coachman to fetch it from the wagon. This bundle contained the stems of some kind of plant. It was less than 5 meters long, a little thicker than the thumb, and a small bundle of about 40 or 50 stems. It was so big that it was placed under the wagon, which Yuezhing Xiao could not remember when he was carrying the other things out. Everyone was curious about what was carried in, but Xiao Xian's eyes sparkled, and she cried in surprise. "It is cassava. Oh, young master Yuezhing, you have really got me cassavas. How wonderful. Thank you so much." The others were very curious. What were cassavas? Xiao Sanlang and his wife lost interest immediately. This did not look like food. Xiao Xian cherished the bundle and smiled. "It is a precious thing. It can grow anywhere, just like taros, easy to grow in the soil. After we dig it out, we can remove the skin, bleach it, steam, boil and bake it, and then eat it. Otherwise, we can also mash it to extract starch, which can be used to make various pastries. It is a precious thing. More importantly, with cassavas available, she could open dessert stores in the near future. The flour could be used to make taro balls and even milk tea with small balls. That is all food. So amazing, it should be tasty." Everyone was pleasantly surprised and interested after hearing the explanation. Yuezhing Xiao smiled. "I wrote a letter to my elder brother about this, and he inquired about these foreign seeds. So the seeds were found. They said that the plant would live once it touched the soil. Not sure if that is true." Xiao Xian smiled. "I have never tried that before, but I believe it." She had no idea how to plant it, but she could ask the space for help. It was cut into sections of 2 or 3 inches long with an oblique knife edge. As long as there were bud bags and cuttings on each section, it could stay alive. The stalks appear to be dormant currently, but still alive. It cannot be kept for too long. If the buds were still for too long, it would simply become a bundle of dry firewood. So, Xiao Xian asked Xiao Sanlang to store the bunch in the cellar, and decided to find a corner place to plant in the garden. After this, she was going to buy hundreds of mu of fields, even slopes for next year's planting. It also depended on the dessert store's requirements. So, 40 mu should be enough for the next year, and more could be planted in the future. Xiao Xian was not very assured to plant this in the Zhang village. New things were always very interesting for villagers to see. She could watch over it if the plants were here, but not in the Zhang village. For example, if she wanted to expand the scale of snow fungus, then she would need to build a huge house in the village or close to the village and enclose the plants so that no one could steal them. Everyone became really interested in this new item. As a result, in the afternoon, Qiao Xian, Tao Dao, and Yang Xiaoni made jelly with brown sugar water. Chapter 593. Interrogation. Xie Jingrong and Yuezhing Xiao were very interested in going to the mountains. In the following 3 days, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian accompanied them into the mountain all the time. They were not tired and even hunted many animals and found a lot of mountain stuff, making them more and more fascinated. Xiao Xian was lucky enough to have found some wild-growing snow fungus, as well as 2 Ganoderma lucidum. Yuezhing Xiao and Xie Jingrong had never had the experience of finding precious things personally, so they were both very surprised. Xiao Xian and the others did not think that the experience was strange. They asked the 2 young masters to take the precious things they picked back to their homes. She had so many snow fungus in the space, dozens of bundles, so these were not at all precious to her. 3 days later, Yuezhing Xiao and Xie Jingrong went back in satisfaction. They both wanted to visit the place next time. Yuezhing Xiao even carried back 1 batch of completed lipsticks this time, 420 pieces in total. The 2 of them had a few local stuff, including yubas, dried tofu, tofu cream skin, and puffs received from the Yan family. Yuezhing Xiao was going to talk about the bean product business with his father. He even expressed that he would ask a good manager to pass on congratulations on behalf of the Yuezhing family when the Yan family's workshop started. That was going to be done mainly for the Yan family. In this way, no competitors would dare to pull any tricks. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan agreed. It was always good to be prepared. If the Yuezhing family paid attention to this business, they did not need to worry about anything anymore. The Yan family's bean products, including tofu, would definitely sell well. After the guests left, Xiao Yunwan was asked to go back and study, whilst the others started to get busy with other things. They first planted cassavas, then took honey, beeswax, and divided the bee colony for lipsticks. Yuezhing Xiao had delivered the tube for the limited version lipsticks. They needed to hurry up so they could be sold in the market in the first quarter of the year. It was good that they had 6 more maids to help them, so they could work faster. Xiao Lulang returned from the college 2 days after Yuezhing Xiao and Xie Jingrong left. There was a 1-month holiday from every college in the busy spring plow time every year. Xiao Lulang stayed back for a couple of days at the college, even though the holiday started 2 days earlier. The moment he came home, he rushed to the first section of the family, asking Ms. Fong, "Eldest aunt, where's my cousin? Did you have guests a few days ago? Why did no one inform me about it?" Ms. Fong, Lulang was almost as stubborn as his eldest uncle. Why should he be informed about the arrival of the guests? Ms. Fong felt lucky that Xiao Lulang had not been here in those days. "Why do we need to inform you? How is it related to you? Young Master Xie never even asked about you." Xiao Lulang felt irritated. Young Master Xie is a scholar, and he and his friends are elegant people. You would not know how to treat them well. Cousin alone is not enough. I should have come and help you. Ms. Fong turned impatient. That is enough. They had a great time here with us. There was no need for any help from you. You either go home to help with labor or study in your room. I can't get the message through your head ever. Ms. Fong snorted, thinking that he was the one who could not figure out the truth. Duan had already told him straightforwardly what he thought, and this man still believed in himself. He still behaved as if Duan was trying to stop him and the guests from hanging out together. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.